3. Okay, happy second day of our DigCit Summit. So happy to be joining Mr. Isaac and his class in New Jersey. I happen to be in Iowa, still at the ITech conference in Iowa. And, you know, Steve, I'm going to put myself on mute. And okay, happy second day.
Oops. Wait a minute. That was, do you hear me now? Because there was a weird little gap there. Okay, cool. So hello, everybody. My name is Steve Isaacs, and I'm excited to be coming to you at DigCit Summit with my first period game design and development class. Always love working with Jamie and Mary Alice in any way possible. Mary Alice happens to be one of those people that when she says, can you do X, Y, or Z, you just kind of say yes. So here we are, and we're going to be chatting about Minecraft and where digital citizenship, you know, naturally takes place. So I teach game design and development, and one of the things that's been super cool about Minecraft in general is that you know, Minecraft is built to be a multiplayer environment. Historically, Minecraft has people who play Minecraft sort of stumble upon real issues that relate to digital citizenship, and you know, when done properly, kind of work through those in a very authentic way. So to give, you know, a good example, there are a lot of online servers and people play, and occasionally things happen. You'll hear my students talk a little bit about things like terms like griefing, and hopefully they'll explain them to you if you're not familiar with them. But there are things that happen online that end up very naturally requiring people to sort of come to terms and work through and kind of gain an understanding of mutual respect. And sometimes that happens because something negative happens, and we have to work, you know, through that and kind of come up with a set of norms and, you know, even community guidelines, which happens on most servers. So most kids who play on servers start to understand very quickly that these servers have a code of conduct, and that usually comes from the community, which is one of the other things that's especially special, I think, about Minecraft. And from there, I'll let my students talk, and what we would love to do is leave some time at the end for questions, because I know games in education and Minecraft, you know, might, you know, not be something everybody in our audience is familiar with. So I have a number of slides. I'm going to have some of my students come up and talk about these items. Okay. So we've got James and Joey. Come on up.
So I'm James, and this is Joey.
I want to talk a little louder.
I'm James.
And I'm Joey.
And you might want to be lower so they can see your faces.
What we said.
We're talking about digital citizen in Minecraft and in survival mode. That's what we're talking about.
The people have to share resources with each other to survive, which they have to work together as a team to build things. And in creative mode, you want to build something really big, you need help from other players too.
I'm going to try speaking this in Spanish for all the Spanish audience. En el modo de supervivencia, las personas tienen que compartir resources entre sí para sobrevivir. En el modo creativo, si quieres construir algo realmente grande, necesita ayuda de otros jugadores.
I think that was awesome. Now stay for a second. So you guys are talking about, you know, situations where you're sharing resources and working together. Can you give, you know, an example from your own experiences of when, you know, you've been in a survival community and actually through communication and things had to make this happen?
Well, I've never played Minecraft.
Ah,
I've played Fortnite before.
okay.
And when we were playing like duos with my friends, and I have like a really good gun, and they like throw me off a cliff, so my loot goes on the ground and they can pick it up and steal it from me.
So similar idea, okay.
Well, in Minecraft, it's like in survival, if there's like a bunch of like mobs and monsters, you have to work together to kill them.
Okay, and I imagine that involves communication and collaboration. And like you said about resources, there's, I think, a lot about, I mean, because the flip side of that is that you could go run around and decide to kill each other. But there's an etiquette, I guess, about you want to work together for a common goal. Is that right? Okay. Thanks, guys. All right, Connell and Izzy.
Okay. Hi, I'm Connell.
And I'm Izzy.
I did that you should never steal stuff from other people, whether it is ideas or literal items. You shouldn't take anything that isn't yours. Like in Minecraft, like taking other people's like items, like diamonds or whatever they're taking, and then ideas, items in different like servers and stuff like that.
Do not grief other people's structures. Would you want anyone else to destroy your hard work?
And there, Izzy mentions that term we were talking about, griefing, and he does give a good explanation here, but can you kind of explain what griefing means in Minecraft?
Like when if you build
go down a little so people see.
If you build something that takes a lot of time and someone else destroys it and steals from it or something, it's called griefing because you worked hard on that and now it's not there anymore.
Right. Have you guys ever been in situations where that has happened, but not only has it happened, but that you've dealt with it in game in hopefully a way that became positive?
Yes.
Can you explain?
In Minecraft, I played with my cousin and I was playing and I made this house and it was made of good like material, but then my cousin obviously took it down and took the material.
Oh no. And how did that get resolved?
Took it back from her.
Oh, took it back. Okay. Sometimes I've seen situations where when people come to realize, sometimes griefing happens by not so much on purpose, but other times I've seen people work together where they've decided to rebuild together or something, in a positive way, but that didn't happen in this case.
Not this case.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Anything else you guys want to add? Or good?
No.
Jordan.
Hi, I'm Jordan. Sorry.
Loud.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I said for Minecraft, people work together for a common goal, which could be like mining something or building something. I said it's also hard to do everything yourself in Minecraft. So like you're probably gonna want someone to do it with you. So if you're griefing, like kind of what Izzy said, no one's gonna want to help you. And also you can get ideas from other players on the server. So kind of just just playing with other people kind of it enhances your experience.
Yeah. One of the things that I've seen in class all the time is what you're talking about, Jordan, with hard to do everything yourself and working together. It's actually pretty remarkable to see groups of kids work together for a common goal and design something and build it together, and the level of communication. Have you experienced that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to do stuff by yourself.
Yes. Thanks, Jordan. All right, Jonathan and Matt. And make sure they can see you because the camera's at a weird angle. There you go, perfect.
So hi, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Matt.
So for Minecraft, there's always a lot of people in servers, and in order to achieve great goals, you have to use teamwork and communication.
Sharing is caring. Like sometimes if like your friends on the server like need something, it's always like better to help them out and like not risk them like trying to steal it from you.
I'll just jump in for a second there, but one of the cool things that I always see on survival servers is that communities set up chests for certain resources, and many people do nothing but go gather resources and put them in the chests for everybody to use for what they're trying to build. So there's that element too of like, and actually my preference in Minecraft is to go out and gather resources. So I'm happy to go and chop trees and mine and give all this to my teammates for their building. So it kind of really builds that collaboration and, works out well. And there's other things we're going to talk about?
Yeah, so there's unprovoked attacks that could like get you banned because well, certain rules prevent you from doing that, and that can lead to some pretty bad consequences.
No stealing items. It's like it's not nice to steal someone's items, and that then if your items get stolen, that could provoke like on attacks. Like you want the items back.
Sure. Now, and when you bring that up, because Jonathan, you talked specifically about on servers and things, it's very interesting to me. Like I know we have students that have shared that they've been banned from a server, which is definitely a consequence. But that whole idea of that definitely speaks to the idea that these servers have rules and things. Do you think that that supports digital citizenship, or like what do you think about that?
Well, the rules, I mean, some servers like have different types of rules, and some of the consequences are like different. So sometimes they don't take it seriously, and it doesn't really work out.
So that talks to me also about the idea of building a culture, right? So do you see, are there any servers in particular that you're more likely to conduct yourself in a positive way because you're aware of the way that they handle those things?
Yeah, so some servers have like more based around kids, and like the rules are a lot more strict because kids like they don't know what they're doing. So
but do you feel that that actually contributes to people understanding that culture and adhering to it? Yeah. Okay, so that's a big thing too. And I mean, when we play in class, there's a lot of, talk about, how to conduct ourselves and things. And I think what happens in class is people are working in groups on projects. So you get a lot of the positive side, but we do have kids sometimes enter somebody else's world and do something, and then we have to address that as well. So a lot of classes or communities come up with their own sort of guidelines or code of conduct. And it happens, like I was saying before, naturally. Like, in other words, somebody like Hypixel, they probably had many less rules originally, and then that grew as time went on because of needs that they started to notice, right? So you have that kind of thing. So thanks. Yeah. Remember, lean down so they can see you.
All right, so Minecraft.
Remember to give credit for this one.
Oh yes, this is from Zach. He's not here right now. Minecraft is a game where there are a bunch of like different communities, so you could play with each other. It's like building community, survival, like redstone community.
And in survival communities, people work together to make farms to help with survivals. I've experienced this with when I create a Guardian AFK farm with people I trust in the game.
What is an AFK farm?
So an AFK farm is when mobs or different animals spawn and it's potentially kills them and then gets their loot over and over and over again. So you can like leave the game or like have it on and it will keep going.
So what does AFK stand for people out there that don't know? Do you know?
I have no idea.
No?
Like not in game.
Well, sort of. Away from keyboard, yeah. So in this case, you're talking about, so this is a pretty, you can see from the picture, a pretty mammoth project created that actually supported the whole community. But, but Zach, when he created it, he had other people, he gave permission to people that he trusted in the game. In other words, in Minecraft on a lot of servers, you can have what's called plots, where this is an area that Zach has claimed. So he's the only one who could kind of build and work with that area. But in a community like that, as you start to develop relationships with people you can trust, he can invite other people in that can utilize the farm, help build it, and things like that, right? Cool. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
So with that, I'm gonna stop sharing so people can, if I can figure out how to stop sharing. Let's see, stop share. So we would love, I haven't been monitoring the chat. I suppose I could actually, if there's anything going on in the chat. But we're definitely happy to, and I gotta not hear that. Let me mute that. If there is anybody, any questions or anything that people have, we would love to be able to answer them. We could also show some examples at some point. My next class that comes in is a 7th grade class that's working on a project we do called Fairy Tales Reimagined, where the kids are creating digital stories / games in Minecraft. and working in teams to create them. So they're recreating a fairy tale, folktale, or fable, and creating a number of challenges to make it a game as well. And they're deep into that project. So if you like, we could probably take a little pause between my classes and we can show some of their work as well. But any questions for us?
You know, I can tell you, I've been just on Twitter trying to, let people know that we've started our day, that this is happening live on digcitinstitute.com. And nobody else is, I know that we've got our next panelists. The only people that can join this Zoom are our panelists for the day. So we don't have panelists on. I can tell you that Michael Drezick is actually sending me a text message as we speak. But I don't know if we have anything that's happening on Twitter, so I can certainly jump in there. But I can tell you, there was a slide, and I tweeted that out, that you had different languages, and I felt like that was such a great way to be, more inclusive. And so when we look at, I love this combination of digital citizenship and Minecraft, because it is about building community. And that particular slide really caught my attention, because tomorrow we happen to be, all of our offerings are going to be in Spanish. And what a great way to be able to take this session and still be able to share it tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I was really pleased when that group of students said, can we do it in multiple languages, since we're talking to, people around the world. So I was, very excited about that. Another, thing when it comes to, the whole idea that I think is so important about games and digital citizenship is that games are where our kids are. And if we can, in other words, if we're teaching digital citizenship in that context, it's meaningful and relevant to them. So one of my students mentioned Fortnite, and Fortnite's another great example. I mean, in Fortnite, kids are working in teams and what they call squads, and the level of collaboration is important, but then there's also the side where, how we behave in general is important. Now, what I kind of like about a game like Fortnite is generally you're only speaking with your teammates, whereas other games, the chat is open to everybody, and that's where you run into challenges. Like, I'll give another example. We play on the high school level, we're involved in esports and also on the middle school level. But there we have, kids playing games like League of Legends, and League of Legends, unfortunately, is notorious for what's called, and some of my kids mentioned the term toxicity, a toxic community where people are not so nice. And my feeling there is, if we start embracing these activities in school and really working with kids in a school-based environment and with support, we're, helping them in the right context, and we're not, and we're hopefully going to change that overall culture, because if kids are playing in school-based leagues that have these rules and codes of conduct, and just like any sport, kids understand, what the consequences are and how they have to conduct themselves, maybe that will start to trickle into the greater community. But the other benefit is that we're not avoiding these environments in school and then having kids go home in unsupervised environments and, and being subject to that without proper guidance or instruction. So that's a big thing that I'm very in favor of. So I hope that continues to, I hope that we, through what we're doing in education and embracing games, can truly change that, or create a very positive culture. And again, like I said, with Minecraft, kids are playing on online servers. So let's teach them right. Let them be part of that as well. And there's so many wonderful ways we can support digital citizenship through games.
I love it. I see that Michael Drezick has been able to jump on.
Hi, Michael.
Michael, if you can unmute yourself, this is a great opportunity to ask any questions, but I know that the work at Lakeshore Central, there is great interest in, because you have, it's like do you have the esports club at your school, Steve?
Yes, we have a casual gaming club and an esports club at my middle school, and we have a very robust esports club at our high school where we're competing in a number of games.
Okay.
And yes, and so I'm here, from Lakeshore CSD in Angola, New York. And one of the things that we're looking to do is kick off an esports team at our school district. So in terms of getting started, we're on the ground floor. We have interest, and we have the support from our admin, which I think is huge.
Huge.
Yeah, and so would you suggest starting it with the club and evolving it, or could you just go all in? What are your thoughts on that?
That's such a great question. Are you talking? Well, either. So I like to create opportunities for all kids, which is where a club makes a lot of sense. Esports is, when you're going all in, which I totally support, you're talking about, practice, like a regular rigorous practice set schedule, matches and all of that, which I think is great. It's funny because on the middle school level, Chris Aviles, who's very well known in the area, and I have taken different approaches, and both have been very successful in their own way. Mine was to start casual, and then it was a little more challenging to get more into the competitive, because we started with a very casual affinity group, environment, which is great. And then we did start competing at the middle school once really he had a program going and gave us the opportunity to play against his school. So once my kids realized that was a real possibility, that helped. At the high school, we chose to just go all in because we were really trying to be involved in it as a, competitive environment. Again, like that whole thing in my feeling with our middle school, now we have two separate clubs at the middle school. One is a casual gaming club and one is the esports club. So we are focusing on both separately, which I think is nice. Because again, I think there's so many kids that want to be involved and want to be around like-minded people, but might not be ultra competitive. And then to take it a step further, when you're talking, all in, there are so many ancillary roles for people as well. So hold on one second. Folks, thank you all, and say goodbye to our audience.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
I'm still here for a few, and we can, like I said, jump in with my next class if we like. I might, when my kids start entering, might just turn off my video so we don't get all kids on video that maybe shouldn't be, because I got permission for for this whole group that was in video this time. But anyway.
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
Related to the esports, and maybe this is already covered because I'm jumping on late, but what elements of digital citizenship maybe have you seen come up in the course of either your game-based learning journey or in esports? That to me would be the huge component of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Right. So I'm sorry, just repeat you said, I just missed that because I was saying goodbye to.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no. In terms of what elements maybe have you digital citizenship have you seen come up? Yeah.
Awesome question. So, like I had mentioned a little bit earlier about toxicity in games, which is a huge, real challenge when it comes to certain games and that gaming community. So we address that head on. We talk to kids about that, and the nice thing about gaming environments in school is that the kids are there is a code of conduct and there are rules and regulations in the league, just like there would be in a football, environment, right? Like a late hit has a consequence in football. Inappropriate chat and things or nasty remarks and whatnot have consequences in esports competition. So there's the real consequences where kids get banned when that happens. There's also the ability to talk about it and address it and do it in an environment where we are there guiding and supporting our students rather than sending them home to an unsupervised environment where it's happening. You know what I mean? Like we send kids, we often don't want to do something in school for fear of liability. So we're sending our students that we care so dearly about home to unsupervised environments that might be toxic. So I'd rather address it in school, talk about it, and work towards building the proper culture and hopefully send them home to help us further that cause and actually change the greater culture, which is a lofty goal and one I'm very committed to. Hold on I'm gonna pause for a second. I would love to, if you want, I will, like I said, jump in and try to share some of the student games that that they're doing in Minecraft to show a little bit about the collaborative elements and things like that.
That would be amazing. Yeah, and I could kind of, while you get things situated over there, just jump on.
So let me, I'm going to pause for like 5 minutes. So you'll take over, Mike, and talk.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would love for you to talk about even just what happened with Lakeshore last year with the global goals and Minecraft.
You got it. Yeah. Well, first off, I just want to kind of to piggyback on what Steve said. That's kind of an angle I didn't even really look at in terms of the liability piece and sending them home to that unsupervised environment. Like right there, I know, there's probably some fear from school districts in terms of getting started with esports and what that could look like, and will there be pushback? But I think he highlights some of the why very clearly. So I'm hoping, I know he said that Chris Aviles helped him get off the ground in terms of his to get to be a more serious competitive competitor in the esports realm. I'm hoping that maybe Stephen can be that launching pad for us at Lakeshore. Maybe we can have a team of students go up against his kids, and they can kind of almost mentor us in a way in terms of getting started. So
I think that sounds fantastic. Will you describe last year during our student-led, while we just wait for Steve?
Yeah, absolutely.
The student-led DigCit Summit, like the group that did for the Minecraft, because that was incredible.
Sure thing. Yeah. So basically, we had a club at our middle school doing Minecraft EDU, and we've used some of the lessons from their library. What we wanted to take it to a more global level, more collaborative, more kind of giving back to community, or like looking at solving community problems. And we discovered the sustainability shuffle, and I believe Steve's class might have been on that last year. I know they were definitely on year one. And basically what we had to do is we would be given the world file for 2 weeks. Our students had to pick any number of the sustainable development goals that they were interested in building solutions to. They would then build those inside of Minecraft and then send that to the next school in the list. And essentially this was a year-long project. While we only had it for 2 weeks, during those 2 weeks, we had some students exploring no poverty. We had some students examining life below water and life on land. We had another group examining quality education, and they were building solutions inside of Minecraft. And I think what was great was that the other schools, when they got the world, were able to kind of take a tour and see what other kids have built inside of there, which was fantastic. So I know we had a group of Seneca Nation of Indian students from our Seneca Indian Reservation on, and what they had built their nation flag in Minecraft. I know they saw some other countries putting up their country flag, and I know that was very that's something that's very culturally important to them. So they flew that flag, and I'm hoping that maybe got a few other schools curious as to think, well, what flag is that? And maybe they went out and did a little bit of research to see, maybe learn a little bit more about our school community and where we were coming from. And I love that in Minecraft or in Playcraft Learn or Minecraft Education Edition, they were able to use the chalkboard feature and actually type out some descriptions to some of the things that they were building. I know it's hard just to see a build in Minecraft to make sense of it all. And since you can't really have audio, well, they could have recorded a screencast. That chalkboard feature was huge. And I think just as much as they enjoyed building, we got the world in December of the year. So there were already quite a few schools that had come before us. We saw some work from India and from Canada and from Sweden. Our students really enjoyed just touring around the world and learning from others. So it was a super powerful experience that, had my school district not said, all right, yeah, let's try this Minecraft thing, we see value in it, we would have never had that opportunity for our kids. And then for them to put it on display at our Digital Citizenship Summit, to then have a station where they were teaching teachers, because I could see many of our teachers thinking, well, Minecraft EDU, that's just, that's just out there running from zombies and in survival mode. And there's so many elements to that game as a sandbox environment that I think it opened our teachers' eyes to, I wonder if I could use this in math class or in science class or social studies class, because they were hearing directly from the kids. So I guess that's just a little snapshot as to what that project looked like, and then the ripple effect that it may have had on other students and teachers in our district.
When Steve's students were presenting, they were talking about, community, and just even hearing what you were just describing. If I could only pick one tool, and I am not a gamer, like I am who I am. I'm never going to say like I'm an expert, tech savvy, in AR, VR, or what have you. But if I could pick a tool, it would be Minecraft. If I could only pick one, because it's about building community, and like digital citizenship is all about, building community locally, globally, and digitally. So, as easy as it is to destroy, the students were talking about griefing, which made me think of your presentation and your chapter in the DigCit Kids book. Just as easy it is to destroy a community, it's just as easy to build a community. So from your perspective, working with Minecraft students, what would that dialogue sound like at Lakeshore if your students were joining this session?
I mean, yeah, I would love to hear from them, and I think they would be super curious to hear from other kids. But I think that they set some ground rules in terms of what they wanted their community, what should happen in that space. I feel like they would be sharing that. They would be sharing, the fact that you need to, do to others you would want done to you, and maybe share some of their keep calm and game on, I believe was one of them, just to not get too frustrated, to support each other, and just to have fun and be creative. I think like Steve was talking about, the toxicity in the gaming. I think our students, we had zero elements of that when this is done inside of that school setting. Other than the kids arguing about what they should build, that was the extent of it. So, I'm sure they'd be sharing maybe why they built it, or what they built and why they built it. And I would love to ask them, if you could be part of this project next year, what would you like to build? Because for them, 2 weeks just wasn't enough time to get there, to do everything they wanted to do. They built outside of the world in a local file, but they knew that the kids and the other schools wouldn't be able to see that. So, or maybe would this kickstart a project for them? What project would you like to start, and maybe start an initiative or a movement around? What are you passionate about? I would be curious to hear from them.
This is just great, because this is showing ways that we can embed not just digital citizenship, but what you were talking about, the sustainability shuffle, to embed the global goals and SDGs into everyday curriculum, which is really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I know some people say it's become a bit of a buzzword now in education, because there's so many people doing stuff with it. But I think that's kind of what we were aiming for. I mean, that's what everybody's goal is, to get more classrooms aware, to get more students aware, and to move from maybe someone that just campaigns about it to some students that can then take action in their own community. So I think that's why we do these projects in our classrooms, so that, maybe it starts off as an idea, and some inspiration and some motivation, but then eventually it turns into action. I mean, I know that's the whole point of what we're doing here today, is to end with some type of call of action, or any work that we do around digital citizenship is, okay, how are we going to act on this now, outside of school, so.
Steve, whenever you're ready. We can't hear you though. Are you on mute? Oh, okay.
Okay, good timing. So let me share my screen again. We're going to join into one of my student team games. It's Angelina, Selena, and Kelly, right? Okay. We're going to join their game in a second. Let's see if this works. Do you see Minecraft?
We do.
Okay, terrific. Okay, so I'm going to join their world. Can you give me the code? We've got cake, balloon, clownfish, and apple. Okay, we are joining their game. So I'm going to be in their game, and I do want to explain again kind of the premise of this. So this is my 7th grade group, and this is a 6-week cycle course where every 7th grader in our building takes this class, and it's a class in game design and digital storytelling. We have an 8th grade game design and development elective here at our school, and now we also have a high school program that just started this year, which I'm very excited about, in game design and development. And the 7th grade cycle, a lot of the idea behind that was that, providing an opportunity for all kids to have a course in digital storytelling and game design, kind of gave people a context of whether this is something they're excited about pursuing further, which is how our cycle program works. And then students who are interested could choose to take the 8th grade elective. And this project we do is called Fairy Tales Reimagined, and we have kids recreate fairy tale, folk tales, or fables in either Minecraft or GameStar Mechanic, where they rewrite the story or reimagine the story and build in several challenges to learn about game design within that. So is this the right place for me to start, or should I, right here? Okay, so this is a project created by 3 of the girls in class. So you'll get to see what I love about Minecraft so much is that, which also amazes me, is that the level of communication that kids put in order to build together in an environment. They plan this all out, then somehow they build it in collaboration, which always kind of amazes me, just that they can all work together so well and communicate that. You are the father of a soon-to-be-born child. Okay. Go downstairs. Oh, it's great. I'm going to meet my wife. Let's see if I can get down here. I'm going to... Why am I not... I don't know what I'm doing here. There we go. Phew. Your wife wants a melon from your neighbor's backyard. That sounds reasonable. I'll put that on the honey-do list. You get it? If I can't have some melon while I'm pregnant with our child, I should, okay. Learn more. Does that bring us to a website or not intentionally? Okay. So that's, the NPCs can either take characters to either a website or actually issue commands as well. So let's see here. We're going to try to get a melon. Am I supposed to be in survival? Yeah. Survival or adventure? Okay. So how's that? Better? Okay. So that's the real Kelly. That's a real person. That's a real person. Okay. So let's see here. So there's a path. I see it. I'm going to follow the gold brick road. Find the hidden melon in your neighbor's backyard. Okay, we can try that. So this is one of the challenges or puzzles within the game. Oop. I got the melon. Uh-oh. Try finding the other one. There's another melon. Okay. An amazing sword. Yay. Oh, look at the armor and everything. What's that? Oh, can I wear that?
Okay.
Let's see. All right, now I'm well equipped. Let's see what happens if I do that. Oh,
you have to take off your helmet.
There we go. How about that? Will that protect me or not so much?
That will actually protect you.
No? Okay. You are now the prince. You've heard of a beautiful princess. Oh no, she's trapped in the woods. Save her. I do have the sword. Oh, don't want to go there, I guess. Okay. So this is one of the mazes, which is another puzzle. Now, what this team did was just interesting is, did you guys change the texture of the different parts of the maze so that it would start to become obvious that I'm in the next?
It's quite small.
It's quite small, okay. All right, not that way. Maybe that way. Maybe that. I see, okay. So there should be monsters to fight. I'm kind of happy there aren't. It's not that small. Either that or I'm just going in circles. Ah. Okay, oops. Yikes. You sure are. I should eat.
Use your apples.
Whew. All right, I'm a little scared now.
I just got to jump in here as you're going through here for a second, but what an amazing way to build some storytelling. I mean, I could see this translating to writing or creative writing in an English class so easily.
Yeah, one of the neat things, I mean, I kind of wrote this as a lesson that could be used in English classes, but it also serves so well for my class. So it was a nice, this lesson is actually published on the Minecraft education website. And I think I even have it published as an English language arts lesson. Just serves my purpose so well. Oh boy, they really did. They're out to get their teacher, I think. So, all right, so am I going the right way, girls? Because I want to be able to show a little more of the audience doesn't need to see how bad I am at mazes.
I also want to let you know that we have our classroom from Texas joining us as well. We've got them on mute, but just so that you know, we've got another panelist joining in, and you're inspiring a classroom in Texas right now too.
Oh, awesome. Welcome, everybody. Whoop, and let me know when, oh, I just got, did I accidentally get out? Uh-oh. I snuck out of the maze. That's probably good right now. And do let me know, I guess I have just a couple minutes anyway. Why don't I jump out of this so we can at least kind of chat and wrap up. I just wanted you to see an example of what my awesome kids do. And now I'm lost anyway, but let's stop the share. If I can figure that out. And there we go. And we're back. And my class, if you could be a little quieter just for a second, just so we can chat and wrap this up with our global audience of, what is it? What are we up to? 1,200,000 people watching right now. Is that what you said, Mary Alice?
So no, just from registration yesterday morning, it was from 55,000 early yesterday morning when we kicked off to 115,000 registered students registered by last night. And
amazing.
That is after yesterday's first day, which was incredible. But you know, we weren't in classrooms yesterday. We were, a lot of schools here in the United States had that long weekend. So we had readers joining us yesterday, and today, tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, we're going to be with classrooms. So I think that interest in the conversations, we shared our DigCit impact talks. We had our tweet and talk panel with EduMatch last night about how can we all commit to digital citizenship. So today we've got a full, unbelievable schedule, and it's just really exciting because today will really be about classrooms inspiring other classrooms.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? I'm going to try to tune in as much as I can today as well. But I appreciate the opportunity, and definitely open to if anybody has any last minute questions or anything before I know it's time for you to switch over to the next group, which we'll keep on in the background for sure.
In fact, Tisha, can you show your video and you can unmute yourself, because it would just be great to, as we get ready to transition from session to session. Ooh, there we go.
Here they are.
Hi. And I love the student voice t-shirts.
Yes.
Fantastic. Steve's classroom just was sharing on Minecraft, and I know you caught the end of it. So you want to introduce yourself and where you're from?
So I'm Tisha Poncio. We are north of Dallas, Texas. We're in a town called Salina, and I'm a digital learning specialist. And this is my special student leadership team. You guys say hey.
Hi. Okay, well, from our end, I'm so excited. We're so excited to learn with you. I'm going to mute myself, and I'm probably going to turn my camera off, and I'll be trying to live tweet during your session, but I'm going to be here in the background if you need me. So we'll let you just take it away. And Steve, thank you so much for kicking off our second day.
Woo. Okay, so I'm Tisha Poncio, like I said, and I am Texas Tech Chick on Twitter. So you can find me there. And this is my second and third year student leadership team. We have Avery here, who's a senior, Jill and her sister Julie, who's also, they're seniors, and then we have Wyatt and we have Brady, who are juniors. And as you can see, we're wearing our Student Voice shirts and our SWAT t-shirts. Wyatt, stand up. Our former students actually designed this t-shirt and this logo. And so I want to kind of just share with you why we have this team and how this team originated. So I'm going to stand right here behind Avery. In 2017, I realized that we had an opportunity to do something and nobody else had done this in our district. And there were only a couple of people in the state who were doing this, but I realized that in order to make better leaders in the adult world, which is something I'm really passionate about, leadership, I decided that I needed to look at what can I do? What can I do to change leadership in our businesses, in our organizations, and in our school? And so the best way I thought to do that was to actually come up with a student leadership team in our high school and give them the ability to lead themselves. And so we're going to talk about how students can lead. As long as you are giving them the opportunity to do so, they can do incredible things. And so we have a presentation that we're going to share with you. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can go over that. And let me see if I can find how to do that while I'm over here. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think you guys maybe can see my screen. I'm not sure.
Yes, we can see it.
Great, thank you, thank you. Okay. Okay, so this is our presentation, and we actually have presented multiple times together. Jill and Julie actually have presented at TCEA a couple of times, virtually and in person. We've presented locally with our local conferences. And then Wyatt and Brady actually joined Michael last week on the, what did we talk about? It was the Student Global Summit. We talked about fake news. And so these kids actually are the ones that are going to do the presentation. I'm just going to intro them basically. So I already introduced myself. You can see that I'm ambassador of many things, but all the things that I'm ambassador of, you'll see is it's only the things that I truly believe in. And everything here, Wakelet and Flipgrid and Buncee, I'm using with them in the classroom specifically. And we're going to show you a little preview of that. And then here's our team. We have Olivia, Aaron, and Honora on the bottom. They are our first year students, and they aren't joining us today. They are not level 2 Google certified yet, or level 1, but they will be in December. So that's just part of our foundational course. And again, we wanted to talk to you about the why of student leadership. We talk about creating global environments for our classrooms, and this is my 20th year in education, and I was a classroom teacher for 8 or 9 years before I became a digital learning specialist. And the hardest thing for me to do back then was to figure out how to take my students and give them a global experience until I created this class. And once that happened, their influence became global almost automatically. So why do we want to do this? It's because I want to build up leaders, and I want to give them an opportunity that they're not getting in any other classroom here at our school for hands-on real world problem solving. So that's our first slide. The reason and the why behind this entire idea for a Geek Squad or a Student Geek Squad is giving them real world, real-time problem solving opportunities.
My sister and I already are beginning to use, now that we're third year SWATs, we've been in SWAT from the beginning, we've been able to really cultivate our skills and grow them, and we've been able to use them in our real-time jobs. I've been able to use the skills I've learned in customer service and leadership, and even a little bit of budgeting to start my own in-home business. That's been active for about 6 months now, and it's been really, really successful. And I know she's been able to use it in her job as well.
I have used it in more ways than just my job. I'm in National Honor Society, so I have to have hours. And one of the ways that I've gained hours is that I've been able to sit down with someone who's an advisor of a nonprofit event and sit down and be able to create a Google form and flyers and different things that I've been able to learn through this. I did not start out that way at all. I did not know how to copy and paste on a computer. But when I got into SWAT, I learned so much more than I thought I was going to learn. And it was not just about the computer, it was also about the software and how to use that to my advantage in school and outside of school. And I've really been able to use that.
Since then, we've also learned how to use social media professionally. I've been able to start a page for my business and be able to keep that up in a professional way. I've been able to do it for our school's mascot even, as well as our own social medias and the social media for another business that I work for. Yeah.
So the next reason is something that is not new to the education world. It's the 4 C's: collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. And if you are Wakelet fans, you know curation is also part of that. So that's a huge part of what we do, is curating information and videos and just information for our student body and our administrators and teachers. But this comes into play because they all have to work together, and they have to learn how to work as a team and learn that in a way that they are producing something at the end of the day and the end of the week. We hit next. The next part of this is the opportunity for them to find and use their voice appropriately. And so they hit on a little bit of that, but I think what we are lacking, and just from my experience as a classroom teacher prior to this role, is there was no way to give them that real world experience in how to use their voice appropriately. And so they're all using social media, and they're all, you know, out there giving their opinions, but they're not learning how to really do that in the right way, in the right time, and really with the right words sometimes. So we practice that. We're going to show you a little bit of that and give you the opportunity to follow them on their social media platforms. And then empowering themselves to lead, teach, and collaborate. That is really what I'm about, is empowering anybody that I'm around to lead themselves and then be able to teach others and collaborate with others. And even for me coming up with this idea for SWAT, it blew my mind what happened when I, as the teacher, let go of the control, because we all know as teachers, we want to have control of all things in our classroom. And it was hard for me. If you guys know anything about Enneagram numbers or Enneagram studying, I am a 1. And that means I like everything to be perfect and nothing is ever complete. So giving up control of presentations and things really was difficult for me. And I am about to let them take over, just so you know. Okay, go to the next. All right. And then building relationships. I think they're going to speak. I know Brady's going to talk about this a little bit, but the goal is to create great relationships and build relationships, not just with each other, not just in a student-teacher environment, but also with their teachers, with their peers, and with their administrators. And they're going to tell you how we do that. All right, go to the next slide. And now they're taking it over.
Okay. You want me to go? Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that we do every week or every 2 weeks is that every day we write down what we're doing, when it was due, when something else is due, due dates and everything on what we call a leader evaluation sheet.
And we'll have a picture later on,
Yeah,
just
right.
of what it looks like.
And when we do that, we keep documentation of what we've been doing, but we also have a way to show this is why I'm credible to do what I do. And that was what the original purpose was. Now it's to keep documentation of what we do, because we've throughout time have proved ourselves to be able to do what we need to do.
And we have to get grades somehow.
Yeah. And that's part of our grading system. And one of the reason why that's part of our grading system is that Ms. Poncio set it up to where every 2 weeks or every week, we sit down with her and have a student-led conference where we say, this is what I think I should get as a grade for these past 2 weeks. And we justify that through writing it down, as also having that as documentation. And once that's over, then it gets put into the grade book. But it's a student-led conference. She does not tell us, this is your grade because this and this. We tell her our grade, and then she justifies it with us. And I think that's really a great opportunity for student kind of taking control of their own.
And like we were talking about earlier with the student-centered learning, this is one way we can just take advantage of that and be able to lead ourselves
and be able to take control of what we're learning, because with it all written down on the sheet, we can go back, and if there's something we were struggling with, we can write it down. And then during our student-led conference, Ms. Poncio will talk to us and we can kind of work through those. And that's just a time for us to be able to individualize our learning with her, because throughout the week, if she saw a problem with us or something that she wants us to get help with, she can talk to us about it then. And then it's not in front of the entire class.
Yeah. And then individualized learning was definitely a big deal as well. We don't have a classroom with desks. We have beanbag chairs or one desk that we can use if we need to sit in a desk. She set it up to where we can do what we need to do in order to be the most efficient in that day. My class period, we have different SWAT class periods, which we'll talk about later, but mine is first period. And so when I get there, I'm like ready to go. I sit in my desk that's in there at the window that we have, and I work because I can do that in the morning. But someone like my sister, who's tired and not a morning person, she likes to sit in the beanbag and work from the beanbag.
I'm a beanbag person.
It's more comfortable. So individualized learning is really a big deal. And depending on what year you're in, you study different things. So for instance, year one students have to get Google level 1 certified as an educator in December for their midterm. And then they also make a portfolio at the end of the year, which we'll talk about, which is also a continuous thing that all year students do. Second year students usually get level 2 certified. Julie and I are the only ones out of this bunch who are level 2 certified. And
so far,
the 2 out of the 6 people who are level certified in our districts, level 2 certified in our district. So that's a year 2 thing. In year 3, we implement that in like community effort. So we do different things in the community to help out with that. So like nonprofit events and things like that. Yeah.
And another thing with the collaboration, when we're preparing for presentations and stuff, we're actually passing around a football to kind of get our brains going and get ideas flowing. So it's just another thing that's kind of different from regular classroom setting.
Right, and the collaboration never ends. Just last night, Wyatt and I, we realized that there was actually a slide on this presentation that wasn't complete. So we were texting at like 11 p.m. last night being, hey, how does this look? What pictures do we need to add here? So we're just constantly collaborating with each other.
All right, and as far as how our class is structured, we do follow the ISTE standards as well as the principle of IT TEKS, and in that we learn anything from graphic design to customer service to leadership and everything else that falls under the principles of IT besides the tech part of it. So we've learned how like right now we're split into, I believe, 4 departments. That's the content creation department, which I am the head of, the help desk department, which is, social media, which I think is all 3 of us basically, and then website, and that's Wyatt over here. Wyatt. So we don't just learn how to handle laptops, how to fix laptops, how to handle iPads, how to fix iPads. We learn how to use those in the classroom. The Google Educator certification really helps with that. We learn how to collaborate with students and teachers on a respectful and professional level, and we learn how to create content. We learn the principles of design. We apply that every single day because content creation is one of the biggest projects we have going on all year. And there's the principles of ISTE standards. This is what, like I said, I'm not a morning person. I'm a beanbag person.
Okay, so these include empowered learner, and we already talked about this with the individualized learning. It's just empowering us to take control of our own learning and then to further that. And it's also learning how to become a digital citizen. And with that, we learn how to have a good presence online. Wyatt, Brady, and I, we actually all have our own professional Twitter accounts where we don't follow our friends or celebrities that we like. We follow people in the education community who will help us further our knowledge in that. And they also help us, if we need resources, we can send out a tweet like, hey, I'm doing this project, what should I use? And they'll help us. And it's also being a knowledge constructor. And through that, we're able to, like they're saying with our portfolios, we can gather all the information we need. It's being an innovative designer, which goes along with the creativity and the creating graphics. we have to be able to use what we've learned to create graphics to send out to the school, if it's like a tech tip, which we do on Tuesdays, or if it's even making a video, or Julie does this a lot, she'll make a thumbnail for one of our YouTube videos. And it's being a computational thinker where we have problems that we have to solve and we have to learn the steps to problem solve that. So then we're not just going around in a circle trying to do the same thing over and over and having it not work. And it's being a creative communicator, which goes back to the Twitter and having that resource, and also back to our website.
Teachers, please pardon this announcement.
Sorry.
This is for all ag students. All ag classes today will be in rooms 161 and 162. Do not go to the ag shop. All ag classes are in the building this week, today. In the building today, 161, 162. Thank you.
It's raining today. We apologize.
Okay. And then, yes, global communicator. Again, this just ties back into everything. Right now, we're globally communicating with all of y'all. There's lots of people. Yeah. And it's just teaching us how to present and how to gather all of our thoughts and to make presentations to share with everyone.
And just last week, Brady and I had the opportunity to join a Twitter chat for global students, and it was a great opportunity. I actually created my Twitter account, my professional one, last week, and I haven't really had any social media just because I haven't really liked it a whole lot. But I took this step to creating a professional one, and again with the digital citizenship, I'm just growing in that. So it's a great opportunity.
Brady, do you want to talk about your experiences with that a little?
Yes, I did really like that. We did have a little bit of technical difficulties, which was,
No.
I mean, yeah, that wasn't really that great, to say the least. But me personally, I really like talking in front of people. I mean, emphasize the talking part. And because of the technical difficulties, we couldn't really do that, but we still found a way to fix that problem.
All right, moving on. Core values. Your name is listed under this slide.
Oh, okay. I was on Instagram Live. I was Instagram living these students. So core values, I really wasn't sure how to, when you have a vision for your students, it's sometimes hard to decide how to execute that, because in your mind as an educator, teacher, you have an expectation, but a lot of times when you implement that in a real life classroom, it's not going to execute out the way that you intended. And so I decided that for our class, we needed core values. And this is just something that I personally do as a parent. I was, back in 06, 07, I had a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I needed to find a way to teach them how to hit a bullseye, per se. I needed them to know what was the mark that I was expecting, because a lot of times as a parent and a teacher, we're really great at telling our students or our children what not to do. Like, don't do this and don't do that and don't be on Snapchat and everything. We should be afraid of everything, just because the media is really good at creating fear in parents. So I thought, how am I going to allow my students and my own children to grow in the ways that I want them to grow, but also have them know without me reminding them every day, what is that mark? What is that bullseye? And so I sat down, and just based on my own personal core values, I decided we were going to come up with core values for this class. And so the students know that everything they do, everything they are personally tweeting out or Instagramming out, everything that they are sending out via our SWAT social medias, every interaction that they have with students and teachers and each other needs to line up with these core values: respect, integrity, teachability, customer service, and honor. And I will tell you, out of all of the students that I've had in my group since 2017, the reason that some of the students do not stick with this program is because they're not, I mean, it isn't about respect really. It's about that they are not teachable. They're not coachable. And when you get students in your circle who will listen to you, who will take in what you're saying and actually apply that, that is when the magic really happens. And so I think, and these students can probably tell you more than I can, does the core values help you know where you need to hit every day?
Yes.
So this comes into play when we do that leader evaluation, that student-led conference. It comes into play when Julie is updating our school TVs with all the announcements. You know, she has a level of responsibility in using those tools and having that ability to communicate with our school. And they know that all of that, if they don't hit that mark, it's not just reflective on them or me, but it's reflective on the entire team. So that is really how this started. Core values is the foundation of this entire class and this entire presentation.
Do we want to talk about recruitment?
You can.
So with the core values, what we look for when so SWAT is like a job. We have job interviews for this team, and we sit down at the end of the semester, next semester at the end of the year, and we sit down with the new freshmen or the new people who want to come in, and we interview them
with a panel of trusted teachers, administrators,
and us. Yes. Right. We interview them and they have an application process. This past year, we had them make something. So they had a portfolio to show through Google. And then we also had them do Flipgrids, and we also had them have other paperwork that they had to sign out at a certain date. And if they didn't do that, they weren't in. And the reason why we're so cutthroat about this is because if you can't be teachable, or you can't keep up with time management already before your application is even through, then you're not going to be able to make it.
We teach so much in this course, but in order to be able to be a part of it, you have to prove to us that you can be taught. That's basically what we look for.
And you can keep up with your work.
Right, and that's why all of these are core values. Teachability, if they can't be taught, then it's kind of pointless for them to be in this class where we teach them how to do so many things.
Once they've been approved, the trial by fire starts immediately. We had laptops last year, now we have iPads, but it is the picking up and organizing of that process that is the hardest thing that you will do.
Like a week.
Yeah, if you do it, if you can do it and keep up with your work at the end of the year, you will be fine. If you can't, then you will not make it. So that's kind of our recruitment process. And it's always at the end of the year. And then once that next semester comes up, they've already gotten some stuff under their belt, which is the iPad pickup. And then they also do iPad distribution. We all do that. So that's how we do that.
Yep.
Next slide.
All right, Brady, Wyatt, you guys want to talk about who?
Yes. So who is SWAT? Within SWAT, we have 4 departments. We have content creation. Though that group is, they do all the videos, the how-to videos and the graphics. And each week we upload, I believe it's 2 graphics or 2 videos and 1 graphic.
Yeah.
And you'll see a few examples of those later on. And then we also have public relations, and this department is solely on projects for other schools or even the community, like Joe and Julie talked about with their experience outside of school. And then we also have educator relations. That's within high school, our high school teachers, and we have a great program that's called Adopt a Teacher, where us SWAT members adopt a few teachers, and we are there basically support. Typically the teachers are there to support us, but we're there to support them because you wouldn't believe, but they need it more than we do. So.
They need to be paid back way more than we do.
So we do a lot of if they ever have a tech problem, typically we'll pick teachers that we have classes with so that we're there more often. But we'll be the go-to person for any technology related issues. Like if there's a problem with their laptop, with a projector, or if they have something they want to implement into their class and they're not entirely sure, then we sometimes can come into their class and give their students little how-to tutorials. Like I've done a tutorial on Google Sites before. But we also do a lot of the teacher appreciation around holidays and stuff. We give them gifts. We make sure they feel appreciated. We let them know, hey, we are here for you.
I've started doing, I have one particular teacher. This is very helpful for new teachers because they're usually coming from a school that hasn't used Google yet or they're still in Microsoft. And so when I have a new teacher that I'm helping right now, and I'm going to meet with him like every day this week because he needs help to learn how to use Classroom and how to use this thing. And it's kind of hard when you're pushed into it and you have all these kids you have to teach when you don't know how to do that. And so being a new teacher is really easy here because we adopt you immediately. And another thing that we also do is particularly me, I email my adopted teachers daily affirmations at least once or twice a week, because a lot of teachers also weren't they didn't grow up in the leadership that we've grown up in through this program either. So when I do that, I'm also displaying what I've learned and projecting that onto somebody else to help their day and help them progress and grow better. So
and you'll find, I know we all have found that that our relationships build, and whenever they call the SWAT room, they'll be like, hey, where's Julie or where's Brady? They want the person who's adopted them.
Yeah. It took a long time for us to be able to get to that point with our teachers. When the group first started, there was a lot of apprehension from the teachers and the staff about having students with that much responsibility. They were worried about whether or not that power would go to our heads per se. But since then, we have been able to really, grow in our customer service and respect and show the teachers we know what we're doing. We're not here to, make you seem like you're not capable of doing this. We are here at your expense to help you. And now we have teachers calling, asking for us by name instead of, hey, can you just leave a message for Ms. Poncio?
Yeah. And lastly, we have our help desk or our tech bar. And this is the group that with any students that come to our window with any charging issues or anything that's wrong with our device, or like we talked about with the teachers, maybe a projector issue or anything like that.
For those of you confused why we keep saying window, our basic station is in an old concession stand over by the lunchroom. So we have a roll-up window that we can roll up and down as we please. So typically during a class period, we'll have it rolled up so that typically students can come to the window where we are sitting and we can help them right then and there with their problems.
Right, and this is a really good way for us to connect with the students, because if they have an issue, they know that they can come to us, and we're not just going to help them with it, we're going to teach them how to fix that problem. Because if they had a problem with the Google Slides and pictures not working, we're not just going to do it all for them and send them away. We're actually going to teach them how to do it. And then that's also furthering our communication and collaboration within the student body, not just with teachers.
So while we try to be professional, we also like to just play games every once in a while and just have fun. As you see in the bottom left, we do things like escape rooms just to help team building. And we also, that was a lot of fun. We also do personality tests. that bottom right picture just makes me laugh.
We also do funny Snapchat pictures. So we do make sure as good digital citizens that we ask people before we take their picture. But as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, Brady and Wyatt love to enlarge heads on pictures just because it makes them laugh. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's why I'm stepping in here. Brady is the king of fun in our class. So you always want to have somebody who's going to bring fun to the table. And there have been many, many days, they can tell you in our time together that it has not been fun. Just last week, we had one of the hardest days that we've had this year. But we try to remember to have fun in the midst of those moments, and to just be thankful for our time together, because it really does go so quickly. So continue, tell them all the fun things you do with us.
Of course. Every once in a while, we'll just have these team building days where we'll just have different just puzzles and games that we can do. And what else? We also like to do personality tests a lot and just see how our personalities clash with each other, which ones
would work best.
Yes, how they work best together. Why don't you guys tell them about your Enneagram numbers and what you know about that?
Oh yeah, we do, other than the 16 personalities, which is I believe the Myers-Briggs test, we do the Enneagram test. I am a 7, which is the fun, positive type, the enthusiast. I believe Brady is as well.
Yes,
I thought.
Yeah.
We have 2 7s in the room. Actually, 3 7s. So I like Myers-Briggs. I've studied it. If Poncio says, what do you think this person is? I'll guess before they take the test. Yeah, I'm usually right. But my Enneagram number is a 5 and I'm a wing 4. So I'm the investigator and I'm very efficient with what I do and I'm very straightforward. And it takes a 7 to make me relax and have fun. And if I'm not relaxed, I'm definitely a 5. And then if I'm really not relaxed, I'm a 5 wing 4 when I'm really emotional. So but I really enjoy taking the personality tests a lot.
I am a 1 wing 9. And like Ms. Poncia said, that's sometimes hard in this class because we want everything to be perfect and make it our way. So that's something that I've really had to work on this year is even if someone else is doing it, not necessarily my way, it can still work. And it's just been really fun to be able to to be able to see all the different personalities and how we all work together.
And I'm a 6th loyalist. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything else fun wise we want to do? We did about a year ago, we had a problem with sending all of the memes into our SWAT chat. So we had to make a second chat labeled SWAT memes. So that's where we sent all of our memes. So that
we have some of our alumni in it from SWAT. So that's fun.
Yeah. We try to have a lot of fun. We play a lot of games, as you can see in the top right corner. Well, not a lot of games, but we'll take time, usually a day every 2 weeks, or if it's a really busy time, then we'll do a day every week where we just sit down and we relax because there is so much that we do. And a reset day. As you can see in the top right, our game of spoons got a little bit out of hand.
Then we'll talk about the how. So this is we're going to talk about how we do this every day. So every day it's not set. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. We're not following a rubric per se. What we do is every morning or every time that we have class, we roll up the window most of the time, unless we have some other thing going on or actual class like time where we need to collaborate on a presentation. So we sit down, we have, we check our SWAT email because SWAT has a separate email. We check social medias to make sure that we have all the stuff going. We make sure that the slideshow for the TV is set up. Then we respectively work on separate projects. For instance, Julie is usually working on the TVs and things like that. We're working on level 1s are working on their certification. The second year students are usually working on their level 2, or we're working on a community project that we're trying to start up, or we're looking for other things in the community, or we're using Canvas, which is the college. We have our
Ms. Poncio has created for us a Canvas course in which basically she condenses down all of the information that we learn with the principles of IT TEKS and all of that into separate modules. And then we take time to go through each module. And like for us who are a little bit farther down and through the years in SWAT, it's basically a refresher. But for our newbies, it's still like, okay, now I get the basics of this stuff so that this year I can continue to develop that and figure out a little bit more about what it means to apply these different skills.
Feel free to look at the link tree because it's right there. But also that shout out on the side, Chrome Squad for Roy City. They were a very big part of how we kind of kicked off. Our first year, it was their second or third year. And so we like to model a lot of our stuff after them, but there's a very big difference with between the two of us. And the main thing is we are the first tech group to do a leadership program. And that's also part of our how we do that every Tuesday. So later today, during lunch, we will have our Youth Max meeting and we'll talk about that later. But it's such an amazing process that we have. And it's not always structured the way that you think a regular classroom should be structured. Whose slides? I think it's mine.
Yeah, it's
so this is, sorry. So we use Wakelet. We're all Wakelet ambassadors. We have Wakelet shirts, which none of us are wearing today. But
go Wakelet!
Shout out!
Yes.
So we every year, first year students specifically, they build their portfolio from scratch. They put in everything in there, and those are. If you go to our website, we have links to our portfolios. I use Google, but I'm probably going to switch over to Wakelet because it's such a good platform to use for a portfolio. But we also update that every year. That's part of our grade is at the end of the semesters. We update our portfolios every year and we make sure that we can have it so that in the future we can put it out there as a job application with a job application or with a college resume or things like
Just
that.
so they can see that we actually know what we're talking about and we can actually do the things that we've said we can do on our portfolio and resume.
Our portfolios have been noticed by Wakelet and by other prominent figures. I actually did get the opportunity to have my portfolio presented with the people of Wakelet. It was the coolest thing that had ever happened. I believe it was at ISTE in Flipgrid Live. They sent me this video while Ms. Buncee was there, and they were like, hey, we just wanted to let you know we use your Wakelet in our presentations when we're going around showing the best ones. And I was like, oh my God.
So I want to kind of butt in here, but I want the audience that's watching to understand that, you know, that changes things for Julie. For Julie to know that a global audience is looking at her portfolio really changes her motivation and intention when she's sitting down to work on that. So she's learning, for example, we even just went over the simplest thing, which was on their resumes to make sure they aren't putting their home address or their phone number. Yes, they want that on their job application. No, they do not want that out there for the world. So we talk about those really tiny things as well as the bigger things.
And that picture right there is from our website. So please go to our website and check out the links.
Yes,
for
it's
our
on the
portfolios.
link tree. If you click on that, you'll be able to access our Instagram, our Twitter. You'll have a Snap code, so you can add us on Snapchat and keep up with us. And then there's all the links to our
We'll
stuff.
come back to it.
But on the link tree, there's a link to our website. There's a link to
Our promo video.
yes, our promo video that we made as a way to send out to the students and kind of explain what SWAT is. And there's just all the links that we use on there.
And then this is Light and Brady's portfolios and summaries of who they are. And we make sure that the Google level certification is the most important part of the collaborative effort. If you're not able to have that, you're not able to be credible enough to teach the teachers how to use something that they need to know that you know how to use.
We use those skills on the daily. So it's priority for first year SWAT students to be Google level 1 certified by their last semester. Last year, we were kind of experimenting with second year SWAT students, on getting level 2 certified because that is a much harder test. And now that we know that we can both pass it, then we know the rest of them are, you know, they can pass it, they can get to that next step as well. So we are going to be experimenting that with them as well. Yes. And it's really, really exciting because now I didn't know really anything about Google when I first came into the class, and now I know how to teach it in a way that it can be used in the classroom. And that's a big deal whenever trying to collaborate with not just teachers, but with other peers as well, because they don't know this stuff either. When they see you doing it, they're like, hey, wait, can you show me that, please? So it's a great opportunity to open up collaboration.
And an example from that, last week, I helped a teacher out. He wanted to add a text to a Google Sheets, and he didn't know how to do that. And so I went over there and helped him, and it was that instant, and he kind of had more respect for me.
We've thought about being Google trainers too. Julie and I are at that stage where we're 18 already, so we can put in that application if we want to. We're thinking about it, but. And then this is one of the ways that we use our student voice. Flipgrid is big deal for us.
We love Flipgrid, and I'm just gonna hop in real quick and tell you how I use that as their teacher. As you know, this class right here, they're split up into class periods. So I don't have them all in one class period. I have 4 in first period and 4 in 7th period. On top of my main job, which is digital learning specialist for all of the teachers and administrators here at our school. We have about in total 950 students and teachers that we serve. And so for me, Flipgrid back in 2016 and 2017 really was the answer for me. I was able to put out a video and ask some really key essential questions and get feedback from them. I was able to sit in my car and, you know, listen to their videos as I'm driving home. Then I get into the driveway, I give them feedback. And so a lot of the engagement that we have, we use Flipgrid as that platform to do that. And you can see the top 3 grids are book studies. So they have had to read a book, and then I ask them questions and they are responding to me. and to each other. So now they're learning peer-to-peer responses. They're learning how to engage with a teacher or a professor globally. And we have some of our grids that are available for everyone to see. We use the PLC grids on Flipgrid for our presentations. So if we're doing a presentation and we want the world to see. But this has been a great way for me as a teacher to, one, teach them appropriate responses to each other. I have a 1-point rubric that I use, again, so they know the bullseye for that assignment. They know what is expected. We talk about lighting, we talk about camera angle, all the things that they really need to know in order to put content out there globally. But we love Flipgrid and we're really thankful. And I haven't told them this, but I'm surprising them with a mixtape for each of you so that you can go scan that QR code and review all of the videos that you've ever recorded.
I don't know if I'll watch that.
So that's coming.
Oh man.
It's from like 3 years ago.
Yeah. And like we talked about, here's just all of our links if you want to go follow us and see what we're up to.
I suggest doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, they all manage the social media, and this is really where I teach them. We talk about branding. You'll notice that we try to have the same name for each one of our social media pages. We have the logo. I didn't tell them this, but I went and updated the logo on the YouTube channel and on the header because we talk about branding and why that's important to have branding. I've created a Students Can Lead logo specifically for what we do. And as I go out and present without them and kind of speak on their behalf, they have their YouTube videos that they are uploading to pretty regularly. And Julie has come up with the, what do you call it? The frame that you've been making. The thumbnails. She's been creating those.
Share a couple of those later on.
And then the SWAT website, we definitely want you to bookmark that. If you don't look at anything else, that website, they have created it. It's all their content and they're updating it weekly or monthly, but it really tells the story of who we are and what we do, and why we do it in more detail for our audience.
These are just some of the pictures that we have included from left to right. That left one is a podcast we did with Region 10. Our folks over at Region 10.
On our website.
Yes, it is linked on our website. That whole podcast is. The top left right there, that was from when Flipgrid came and visited us at Salina. We were so excited to be able to have that time with them. They presented on basically what Flipgrid is to the student body. We also got to go eat tacos with them afterwards, so that was great. Yes.
Taco EDU.
Taco EDU is what we did. We've done Taco EDUs with Prosper as well, and we're with Talentech, and we're trying to be able to do that again with Prosper, as well as a visit to Roy City again. Those two pictures of my sister and I there at the bottom are from our level 2 certification. That one with all the boxes, that is from iPad distribution at the beginning of the year. We are a one-to-one device school, so as the SWAT team, we are responsible in collaboration with admin and with our library media specialist, that's her name, and Ms. Poncio, to distribute all of those iPads to the student body and make sure everything is organized and all of that. And then at the top right, you see one of our card games. Which game is that? Is that?
I don't know. They're just playing. I think it's called card game.
Garbage.
Giant cards.
So the boxes, just to tell y'all, one of the trials by fire that our new students had to go through was they had to tape a serial number that matched the iPad to its keyboard because the keyboard comes off. So it was 1,000 iPads, and it was just sticker after sticker after sticker after sticker. That was their trial by fire.
Yep. But we were able to use that as a great opportunity too, because with all those boxes with the new iPads we have, we were able to donate them to a couple of the teachers who were moving. So it was a great opportunity. One of the pictures I do not see on here is from our EduMatch program. We've been doing it since the SWAT started. Basically, we have our EduMatch ambassador coach, which is from John Maxwell's Institute, come and teach us the ins and outs. We do book studies, like we've done several John Maxwell books. Separate from EduMatch, we've done a couple books by Carnegie. We definitely like, Dale Carnegie. And this year we have a new development in which we've invited other student groups to come and be a part of that, like
Leader student groups.
Leader student groups,
Yes,
like
we've invited the leaders of FCCLA, which is Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, and
FFA.
Yes, and the leaders of FFA, just so it's not just us getting that leadership experience, but also other students who their teachers have said, yes, I want them in this leadership group.
Julie and I have repeated the program a few times, but there is literally no damage to repeating the program. You see something new every single time you go through it. I've read that book 3 times already, and it's sometimes you win, sometimes you learn is the book by John Maxwell. And I have read that 3 times, and I still see things that I'm like, I still struggle with that. Or I remember what I thought about last time when I had that problem, or something like that. So it's a really great program.
If you want to see all the books, the book studies we have done, I believe that there's a tab on our website labeled books. You can go see all the books that we've read and gone in depth with there. A couple of the other resources I've shown, a couple of these are the graphics we use. I believe Brady made one of these, right?
Wyatt,
Brady and Wyatt both. Wyatt was on content creation with us last year. So those two on the left with charged versus not charged, and then Canva, those are a couple of the graphics we put out for social media or for the student body, so that they know kind of, you know, resources to use and things like that. Right there is a copy of our SWOT leader evaluation sheet. We fill out one of those once every 2 weeks, update it daily. There is also a downloadable copy of that on our website. Right there with the videos, you can see that those two on the left, they are our promo video and the one of the videos we made last year. And then those two on the right are new this year. Those are the thumbnails that I did create, and they are more iPad specific. Ever since we got iPads, we've been having to make more how-to videos and more graphics that are iPad specific now that
because everybody's learning now.
Yeah, everyone is learning now. So those are just some of the resources. There's also a lot more on the website, again, which is why it's so important that you go follow it. Yes, we have basically all, if not, you know, most of the content we create goes out on the website. And that's why we update every week, which is why Wyatt is, you know, on a department of its own for website.
It is its own animal.
Yes, it is. So we have a lot more resources there. Yeah.
So for your call to action, we really encourage you to share, to help and teach students and other peers. So we have learned to be professional online. We've learned to share and help teachers and collaborate with among not even just us to teachers, but teachers to teachers and administrators to administrators and peers to peers. Oh yeah, I think she has a really good example of that. You should go talk to her. Or you pull them aside and you also put them both together so they can talk about whatever they want to collaborate in their classrooms. And then give students a chance to lead themselves is the hardest thing a teacher can do. But if you have the right students and you can manage it the way that we've managed it, it is so much more engaging, and you learn so much more when it's that way. So social media projects, learning and using their voice either through Flipgrid or having classroom time to just speak what you thought about a certain thing, have a discussion time. Another thing that I see a lot of teachers, this is not on here, but students don't have a confidence level of asking questions. Take time out of your day, out of your class period, to have a student just ask you one question. It doesn't have to be about what you learned, it can be about anything. You're encouraging to ask questions that are about nothing, so that when they have a question about something, they're comfortable asking you. So your call to action is to give students a chance to lead themselves, be professional, teach them to be professional online, and also teach them to help each other out.
And I think I just want our audience to know that their program, they are great kids. They blow me away every time they present because they know how to speak, but we practice that every day. I don't want you to think that I woke up one day and this just all happened. It was little by little, step by step, tiny thing by tiny thing, building upon each other to make what you see today in front of you. And so my call to action as an educator would just be for other educators, one, to have the conversation with themselves about how can you let students lead in your classroom, whether it's a math classroom or a Spanish classroom. It doesn't matter what classroom you're in or what you're teaching. What's one thing you can do to give students a chance to lead themselves and also learn those ways to appropriately use their voice and communicate with each other, with themselves, and with the world. And so whatever way you do that, if it's Wakelet and portfolios, if it's Flipgrid and sending those out, if it's just implementing a leadership program or a book study in your school, there's so many different ways to impact that culture there and be able to create something like we have here. And your group will not look exactly like ours. Our group does not look like Royce City in Royce City, Texas. And
It looks different every year.
it looks different every year. From year to year, we've changed. And so that is really just our call to action for you to have a discussion. You know, is there a group of students that you see leading that can lead the class social media account? That's really it. It's very basic. So we thank you guys for joining us today. I just want to leave you with students can lead when given the opportunity to do so.
Yes. Okay, I have unmuted myself. I have been like speechless on this end. I've tried to keep up with Twitter. What you are doing is so incredible and inspiring. I cannot thank you enough for presenting on our second day of the DigCit Summit, because whether people were able to join in live or they're going to watch this after the fact, the message that you just sent is going to empower so many students that you'll never know by name. And that really is what changes community. And, you know, when we look at digital citizenship, it is all about online human connection, seeing the humanity of the person sitting next to you around the world, across a screen. And absolutely what you're doing as a student organization is doing that times 10. And I have like such a happy heart right now when I'm going to use the reference with Grinch. At the end of the movie, his heart has, you know, grown 10 sizes larger than his body. And that's how I feel right now. So I just wanted to make sure that you know about the digcitcommit.org student challenge. Have you already? It is open right now. And the submissions will close on December the 1st. But for Mr. Isaac's class as well, that presented just before you did, and any of our other classrooms that are watching, I want to make sure that you get to go to digcitcommit.org. I want you to sign up for that student challenge. Submissions will end December the 1st. You need to tell your story. And winners are going to be announced. I want you to save the date for February 11th and 12th, because there is going to be a DigCit Commit virtual Congress, and winners will be announced. And then the classroom winners are actually going to be able to come and present at ISTE in Anaheim.
What?
Yes, yes.
We really want to do that.
So I really
Blessings.
Well, we want to go to ISTE. I went to ISTE last year.
She
loved
did.
ISTE. They followed me while I was at ISTE on Twitter. And
She
then,
sent us all these videos. We were so jealous.
so they do want to go to ISTE, because then they get to collaborate and meet some of the people that I talk about. Not just Jennifer Cassatod.
James from Wakelet.
James from Wakelet and all the Wakelet guys.
over the screen.
Flipgrid. Yeah, they follow so many people on social media through
love it.
Accounts. So that is a great idea. Avery already has it pulled up on her laptop.
Okay, wonderful. So you need to sign up to DigCit Commit, and you're already doing that. You're committed to digital citizenship. And I know that we have a classroom joining us with the Kindness Rocks project. So I hope you'll be able to continue to follow us. But about Wakelet, I wanted to jump back there. Did you see their presentation yesterday?
We did not, I did not get to see their presentation yesterday. I was doing like 15 other things. Did any of you guys catch it?
No,
we
were
did
doing
not.
this stuff. We were stressing about this.
So we have our next classroom joining us from upstate New York at Lakeshore Central. And we also have a connection from Cape Cod. It's the founder of the Kindness Rocks project. And one of our call to actions, I don't know if you have a Kindness Rocks garden, but that's going to be one of our calls to action, is to actually create one in your community. And I can tell you, I got to speak to the founder before, and when you think about the DigCit commit, there's a new narrative around digital citizenship. And, it's focused on being inclusive, being informed, being engaged, being balanced and alert. But I loved when she told me that there was a garden that for the rock garden, and they made their messages with puffy paint for Braille, so that it was accessible for all. So just another great way. So I hope you'll be able to join us as well for that next session. But honestly, this has been such a wonderful way to kick off our second day. So I want to encourage anybody that's watching now or will watch later to use the hashtag DigCit Summit. Join us all week long for Classroom Connections. We're sharing DigCit Impact Talks, which, by the way, I definitely want to see how we can get an impact talk from you at some point, because we just need it. And I want you to know, I'm a huge fan, can count me in to advocate, highlight, spotlight the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And tonight we have our partner EduMatch is putting on a tweet and talk panel, and it's going to be about DigCit and why it's important through a perspective of communities. So that's what's coming up.
Awesome.
So,
thank you for having us. We had so much fun sharing.
Thank you. Wonderful. Have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, I know that we are ready to join Lakeshore Central. So
Yes, I know the Lakeshore kids are over there at Highland Elementary, and they're getting prepped and ready to go. They were just in a transition period there where they were bringing them in. So I know that Deanne is getting them all set, and they'll be on shortly. But just how amazing was that last session?
I mean, I'm speechless, and that barely ever happens. And I know I saw Megan had joined, but now I don't see her as our list of panelists. But when Deanne is ready, I was kind of prepping. I got to speak to the founder about the Kindness Rocks project and how it connects back to the DigCit commit competencies about being inclusive. And I did love the story about painting rocks with puffy paint for Braille, so to make it more accessible. I just love that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Lakeshore Central, I think they've already started their rocks. Do you know that already, Michael?
They have started. And I love that, this is a digital citizenship summit online, yet this activity is, that analog activity, hands-on, you're creating something physical, but I think you're going to use tech to help amplify that message, which is just so neat that it's really like that hybrid, right? It's like local in your own community, but yet, you can tie in the digital piece in so many ways. So I see Lakeshore's on now. I did see, I believe it was Megan, she was on. I'm sure she probably dropped off and will come back in to help with her settings.
That's fantastic. I see Lakeshore already joining us. I want to make sure they're not on mute. Can you hear us perfectly? Because we can't hear you. Can you hear them, Michael?
I cannot hear them. I can see them. So we're going to go into our audio settings and probably just change the microphone.
But while they're doing that, I can kind of talk in the background about Lakeshore Central. Last year, we put on a DigCit Summit, and this particular classroom, well, it's not the same students because we've got new students this year, it created some public service announcements, and the classroom presented. And I haven't met this class yet, but I will be meeting them next week. I'll be back up there, and I can't wait after this session to hear what's in store for Mrs. Krupe's class with digital citizenship. So if you have not seen, and Michael, I'm sure you are texting Deanne to make sure on.
Yeah, we're good. I know we don't technically go live until 10. So I know this sometimes happens. I'm going to actually suggest to Deanne, and I don't know if you can hear me, that you maybe exit and rejoin again, because we switched the audio settings in the in mid connection. I think that may solve it. So I see she just left and that she's going to come back.
Okay.
I think that that's going to fix the hiccup there.
Well, you know, it's good when you're on live that you have to model. This is instead of like panicking or stressing. These things happen.
Absolutely.
And for anyone that decides, oh, I don't want to use tech because of tech issues, this is just we're modeling troubleshooting at its best.
All right, I'm gonna send a screenshot. Yeah, we can see you, and we just can't hear. So I believe we need to just get into the audio settings. So down by the mute button, there's an up arrow. There'll be some audio settings. And when you click on that up arrow, you should see your select a microphone. I'm wondering if something there is. But what we could do is maybe we can mute across the board here for a minute with our video and audio. And I'll make a phone call behind the scenes and we'll see if we can get it going.
Okay, you know what I can do in the meantime? Why don't I pull up, I'll screen share and I'll pull up, oh, Megan's on, perfect. Megan, can you hear me? Let's see. Megan, can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm so happy. You want to let everybody know? We've got a few little technical difficulties just happening in Lakeshore, but it would be great to have you introduce yourself, your project. Let us know where you're joining us from.
Great. So thank you for having me. My name is Megan Murphy, and I am from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and I am the founder of the Kindness Rocks Project, which is a grassroots kindness initiative that I started as a personal hobby, and it somewhat went viral on social media. I think the world needs more kindness. And so now I find myself managing this huge movement that's now in over 20 countries.
That in and itself is just incredible. I was telling the story to the session before about when you and I were able to connect about, you know, I see this as so inclusive as well. When you told the story about using puffy paint for the Braille as well. I loved that story.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy that you're joining us for our DigCit Summit. I can tell you yesterday we had, at the beginning of yesterday morning, over 55,000 students registered. And by the end of yesterday, because we had our classroom connections, we shared our DigCit impact talks, and then our partner EduMatch had a tweet and talk panel last night. And I can tell you by the end of last night, we had over 115,000 students registered. So I'm hoping that our call, I can now hear Deanne, by the way.
Oh, I think I did something then.
We just need to see you.
Okay, you can go ahead and turn your video back on.
Okay.
There you go. Yep.
So our call to action, I know, is going to be to get some kindness gardens going, communities throughout this entire week.
Yeah, kindness matters. So this is such a great way to spread the message, right, on digital. So to let people know that you can use social media for good and to inspire people.
Yes, so if it's all right, I will mute myself and I'll let the conversation happen between you and the Mrs. Groupie's class.
Great. Hi, kids. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so happy to be with you today.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I heard that you've been really busy prepping some kindness rocks. Is that true?
Yes. Boys and girls, put everything in rest position. We were just killing some time when we were trying to figure out our technical issues. So everything's in rest position, okay? we're making a nice poster. Show them that you're kind. Be the I in kind.
Oh, yay.
Themselves and having some great detail on how they show kindness and spread kindness. So we did start the Rock Project last week. We watched a great video that really motivated the kids. But also last year, and do we have Mary Alice on here still?
I think that
I'm right here. Yep. Hi. I'm just muted myself.
Okay. Nice to see you again.
Yes, I'm here. I'm in the background.
Oh.
I'll be live.
Down here. Here we go. Nice to see you again.
Wonderful to see you.
And I know you haven't met these students, but they're great students. They are number one, kind. That's all I can say. Number one, they are kind. The kindest class I think I've had in a long time. So we're doing something right here. But Taylor is here. My daughter, do you remember her, Mary?
Oh, I do.
Wave, Taylor.
Wonderful, and I get to see you all next week. I'm
yes.
Week, so fantastic.
So we decorated some rocks. We painted them, and today we're going to put the finishing touch on the rocks, and then we're going to spread them through the community. And we were thinking about doing something with some of the other younger kids in the school, paint some and let them, have a fun time doing this as well.
Oh, that's a great idea to do like a mentorship buddy program, right?
Yeah.
That's so great. I love that. So, did you guys get to see a little video about what the Kindness Rocks project is all about?
Yes.
You did, yeah. So I just want to share a little bit with you all, okay? So
our students also had a few things they wanted to share about the video that they watched too. So whenever
great. Which video was that? Was it on YouTube? Was it one of the Kindness Rocks? Okay, that's great. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and ask me some questions? How's that?
You want to tell her some of the stuff that you noticed about on the video? All right.
We watched and discussed a video about the Kindness Rocks project.
Okay, that was our first step. Good job, Steele. Thank you so much.
Great.
Yep. And then the next step, go ahead, Ireland.
We talked about the rocks that were in the video.
You talked about the rocks that were in the video?
Yes.
Great.
We noticed that the rocks are colorful.
Yeah, they are.
We noticed the rocks had positive messages and words.
Yep. Wow, you guys paid great attention.
Go ahead.
We noticed that the rocks were placed in different locations.
Yep, that is true. Yeah. Any more before I start talking?
No, go ahead.
Oh my gosh. So you guys.
I wanted to jump in. For anybody that's watching, they might not know what this video is. So I wonder if, at some point during this conversation, we might be able to screen share and share the video so that more people can, that are watching live or will be joining in later, will have a really good idea about the Kindness Rocks project.
Yeah, so there's lots of videos. If you, I know that maybe they'll be able to find it on their end, but people can also go to YouTube and look up the channel, The Kindness Rocks Project with an S, like Kindness Rocks and Kindness Rocks. So there's lots of videos there. I'm not sure which one they're talking about, but you guys are really, really smart because all of those things that you said that you noticed in the video are true. So I want to tell you a little bit of a background behind the Kindness Rocks project and how it started, and especially for all the people who are viewing that might not have seen that video that you guys saw. So I was walking on the beach on Cape Cod where I live. How many of you have been to Cape Cod?
Any of you guys been there? No?
Nobody? Wow. Okay. Well, so I live in an area in Massachusetts, where we're surrounded by beaches. So many people come here on vacation to walk the same beaches that I walk. And I used to find heart-shaped rocks and pieces of sea glass. And every time that I would find one, it made me feel really happy. I wish I had a heart-shaped rock around me, but I don't think I do. They're all in my other room. But it would really be a rock that's shaped like a heart. And every time that I found one, it made me feel so happy. And also, same thing with the pieces of sea glass. And I noticed something. So every time that I was looking for heart-shaped rocks, I would find hundreds of heart-shaped rocks. And I would never, ever find a piece of sea glass. And on the days that I was looking for sea glass, I would find so much sea glass and never a heart-shaped rock. So it got me thinking, this is so interesting. So what I realized was the things that I focused my attention on, such as finding heart-shaped rocks, and I'd find a lot, or finding sea glass, and I'd find a lot of sea glass, I would start bringing them into my awareness. So for example, if you guys were in the lunchroom today, later on, and before you went into the lunchroom, you thought, I'm gonna pay attention to everybody who's wearing a red shirt. You would then focus your attention on everybody at lunch who's wearing a red shirt, and you'd start to see all these people that are wearing red shirts that you may not have even noticed if you didn't think about it before you started to look for that. Well, how does this relate to the Kindness Rocks project? Well, when I noticed that when I was looking for heart-shaped rocks, I would find tons of them, I started to realize, since the heart-shaped rocks made me feel happy, maybe when I went out throughout my day and I started looking for kind acts that people were doing for one another, whether they were smiling at the person or they were helping them with their groceries, or maybe someone's dog in the neighborhood got loose and another neighbor went to help them. It always made me feel really happy when I saw people doing kind things for each other. So I started focusing my attention on looking for kindness throughout my day. And then I made a realization, because I put together my Kindness Rocks on the beach and looking for kindness in the community. And so I started writing kind messages on rocks and leaving them on the beaches of Cape Cod randomly, because I thought maybe I could spread kindness. And people would find these bright colored rocks. I heard one of you said that the rocks were bright and that they were left here, there, and everywhere. That's the reason why, right? So if I painted bright colored rocks and I left them places for people, they might be uplifted from the messages. And then once they found the messages, it would make them feel happy too. And maybe, just maybe, if other people joined me, we could all create kindness for one another, and we could start to make the world a kinder place. And people would start looking for kindness throughout their day. So they're like little treasures found in communities now all over the world, that people are going out and looking for them. So my plan worked, even though it wasn't a plan at the time. It just made me feel good. Lo and behold, other people joined me, and it made them feel happy too. So that's why A, we do bright colors on rocks. B, we do uplifting messages to make people feel happy. And then next, we spread them here, there, and everywhere, because they're randomly placed, and it's almost like looking for kindness. You have to really look around and search for them. And so I asked kids just like you to join me, because it's really important that, you know, the message is that we all can make a difference, right? It's not just one person. I think that asking others to join us, we can make that voice even louder and stronger. And by using social media for good, we can spread this message, and look how many people are joining us now. So that's really the story behind the Kindness Rocks project.
What do you guys think? Awesome. How excited are you to participate in this? Really excited. Very excited. I have a couple students that we talked to about participating and how it felt to make the rocks themselves. So if you don't mind, we can share that with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'd love that.
Ladies, come on up. Come on, come on. They're so polite. They're pushing in their chair as they get up.
Oh.
All right, you guys can go right up to the screen. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead. You're probably good right there if you want to talk about. No. Taylor, go ahead.
Okay.
So we asked her what she thought about painting the rocks, how it felt to paint the rocks.
And it felt nice to think about what they would feel like when they found the rock.
That's a great question. That's a great question. So that's what you were thinking when you were making the rock? Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point behind the project, right? It's you leave a message for somebody else on a rock that you would like to find that would make you feel happy. That's wonderful, honey.
Yep, so it made you feel happy to participate. Okay, ready? Come on. I'll stand with you. Okay, ready? Made me feel happy.
So my question was, how do you feel about participating
Good job.
in this project? And I felt happy to participate in spreading kindness.
What was your favorite part, honey?
My favorite part was encouraging others to be kind.
Yeah, right. Because when you do something and other people feel better, they want to join you too, which encourages them to be kind. So that's really beautiful. Thank you. I love that. So I want to share with you guys something. So this sign, see what this sign says?
Can we flip this?
So this says buddy table, you can sit with me. And so is it backwards?
No, you're just really tiny. We can see ourselves and we can see you. Oh, there you go.
If you click on the little screen at the top, you can become larger.
Okay, now we have you large.
Okay, so there we go. So I'll put it back up. See that?
Oh, that's great.
So what I urge you guys to do is maybe in your classroom, you could make a buddy table. And that during an activity, if somebody is feeling sad or lonely or like they really want to talk to a friend, you guys could have a buddy table. So this one, we have a school package that we send to schools, but basically it's like a little, you know, when you go to restaurants and you see these on the table and they'll have like a special, well, this is that you put right on the table and you guys can all, if somebody's sitting there, you can go sit with them so they don't feel sad anymore.
That's nice.
Yeah. So I would like to do something with you guys because you're so great and you've joined the project. I just want to talk a little bit more about our school program since you guys are in school. When I started this project, again, I'm just one woman from Cape Cod, but many school classrooms just like yours joined and they wanted to learn more. And so we hired an educational consultant to create some classroom tools so that you kids can learn more about what the project is about than just a craft and the reasoning behind what you're doing. And I love that one of you shared that about your rock, about you thought about what that message that you wrote on a rock would make somebody else feel like, because that's really important. And the reason why, because I have a perfect rock for that, is that we're all connected, right? So if you're feeling a certain way, maybe it's sad or happy or alone, somebody else is probably feeling the same way. And so it's really important that if you're making a kindness rock, you put a message that you would want to find personally. And in doing that, just know that somebody else will be happy to receive that same message because you're all the same, right? On the inside, we all have the same feelings. So I would like to do something. So part of our school package, I'm just going to show this quickly to you, is we have this rock painting kit. Look at all these messages. That's a lot of messages. So this rock painting kit, all of these rocks were painted by people around the world and they sent me their rock messages and we put them on the cover and there's some really great messages here. And all these people thought about the messages that they would want to leave for somebody else, and they put it on a rock. And that's how the project grows, because people realize that they're not alone. They're all the same on the inside, and they experience some of the same things. So as part of this package, which I want to do with you guys, I have these CDs. They're a pack of cards, and it's called Conversations for Kids. So I have some questions that I'd like to ask, and maybe your teacher, after I ask the question, if one of you wants to come up and give an answer, how's that sound?
Sound good?
All right. Here's the first one. I'm going to stick it up. Can you see me large on your camera?
Yes.
Okay. What does that say?
If you had one wish, what would it be?
Does anybody want to answer that?
Start off with, if I had one wish. If I had one wish, it would give money to charity.
Oh, I love that, honey. You'd give money to charity. That's a wonderful wish. Anybody else?
Ben, come on up.
If I had one wish, it would be to give rocks to everyone who is sad.
Oh, I love that. That is a wonderful wish.
Colt's coming up.
I have that exact same wish too, honey.
If I had one wish, it would be to donate money.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful. Do you want me to do a new one next, guys? A new one? Okay. So the next one, this is one of my favorites. Okay, you ready? You guys going to be able to read this?
Name something you could do.
You guys prepped this. You have some answers to that on your
Help
paper.
them get up.
Help them what, hun?
Get up. Oh,
Yeah.
If they fall, help.
Yeah, if they fall. I love that. Help them
fall,
get it.
Yes.
That's a great one. Anybody else?
something you could do today to help someone is to be kind to them.
Yes, being kind to them. That's a great way to help somebody, to make them feel better.
Answer. You can answer.
Today, to help someone, I would comfort them if they're sad.
To comfort them if they're sad? That's a really great thought, honey. I love that. Thank you. You ready for a new one, guys?
Yes.
Oh, this is another great one. Are you having fun?
Yes.
Okay. You know what? How about everybody stands up for a minute and shakes out?
There we go.
I think we need to like
wiggle out.
So I want you to think that someone just did something really kind to you and you're like really happy. So just like give a little like, yay.
Yay!
I love that. You know what? We're all made up of energy. And so every now and again, we have to let our energy out. So thank you. I'm glad that you did that. So now we're ready for another question. Here we go.
Describe something nice that happened to you.
Ooh, what is something nice that happened to you? Who would like to answer? Can you come up here? Go ahead.
Decide something nice.
What is something nice that happened to you?
Just me and my mom hanging out with each other and watching a show.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, that's really nice, honey. I love that.
Just come on. Come on.
My friend shared his pencil kit with me.
That was nice. That happened today. He didn't have his supplies and his friend over there said you can use mine.
I love that.
Doesn't that make you feel great too, Grayson? Spreading that kindness. Feels good to get.
I'm going to share something nice that happened to me today. My daughter woke up and she made my coffee.
That's a good one.
That was really nice. That was like really nice. Okay, here's another one. Oh, ready?
Yes. Describe something you are proud of.
Anybody want to go? Oh, I see someone in the back there.
Come on up, Chase. Nice one.
Something I am proud of is making these rocks to spread kindness.
I love that. That makes me proud too, that you guys are making rocks and spreading kindness.
Something I am proud of is that I get to play sports.
Oh, that's amazing. And you're part of a team, right? I love that.
Something I'm proud of is I can ride my bike.
Woo-hoo.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, that's huge. No training wheels. Good job, Alex.
That's really great, Alex. All right, here's another one. Ooh. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, this one's an activity. This one's like our stretching activity, okay? So you guys are gonna do this all at once. You ready?
Yes.
Say something nice to the person on your lap.
Aw, that's so sweet. You can go tell Alex something. He can be on your lap. Taylor's on you. Xavier will.
All right, and now to flip it around, even though it's not on the other side, I'll just flip it around just to show you the back of the card. But I want you guys all to say something nice to the person on your right now.
I have no one to make.
It can be Kelly. It can be anybody. Anybody makes it.
They're great. Yes. They're so sweet.
They are so unbelievably sweet.
All right, everybody ready for the next one?
Yes.
I feel like you guys are really doing so great. This is like amazing. I feel like I'm in the classroom with you and I can feel all the kindness you're spreading. Okay, so here's the next one.
If you didn't have any superpower, what would you want it to be? Why?
Superpower. Come on, let's hear from everybody in here. You all dream of having superpowers, you know it.
Carson. I know you have great ideas up there.
If I had any superpower, I would want to fly.
You want to fly just like your shirt, like your Air Jordan shirt. Yeah. Yay. You'd be able to dunk those basketballs.
Liliana.
I would want mind reading so I can make sure everyone's being nice to each other.
Oh, that's a great one, honey.
Mariana. I know you can do it. Superpower. You get the wish of a superpower. What would yours be?
To fly? That is.
Oh, that's a great one.
Great job, Mariana. Tatiana. Now we're getting some brave souls out there. I love it.
If I had any superpower, it would be to breathe underwater.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Cool.
I had a superpower, it would be to lift up a moon.
Oh.
Super strength.
Gabe, come on up. Give us your superpower, buddy. Can't wait to hear it.
My superpower would be to spread kindness.
Oh, that's a great one.
Great minds think alike, right? Yeah. Grayson, come on up.
If I had a superpower, it would be to have teleportation.
Ooh, that's a big one.
That's a big word.
Sarah, come on up. Let's hear your superpower. What would it be? Oh, yours would be to fly too? That's awesome. Thanks, sweetie. Good
Yeah,
job.
and you know what? This is so interesting that 3 of you said that if your superpower, you'd want it to be to fly. So this is showing us that even though some of us have really different ideas, some of us have the same thoughts, right? Some of us all think, gosh, if I could only fly. And that's what's connecting you. So that's pretty cool.
Faith, come on up. I think everybody got to share today, right?
If I would have,
What would you want your superpower to be?
to see through any walls.
That's a good one.
Oh, neat. Very neat. Thanks.
Yeah, so you'd have like X-ray vision, right? Okay, so now I'm just going to do a different one because I have a couple more to do before we kind of head off in a bit. So, and I'm going to let you guys ask me some questions. But here's another one. I have 2 more different cards I want to share. So if you haven't come up yet to share, now's your chance, okay? So this one says,
Describe somebody you admire and why.
All right. Who is someone you admire? Look up to. Choose someone. I got it. And then Grace. And then Taylor. You can start making your way up.
Somebody I would admire is Sarah because she's my best friend.
Aww.
oh,
Our Sarah? Right here? In our own classroom? Oh, Sarah, you must just be feeling so great, right?
that's really kind.
Yeah.
Somebody I admire is Miss Croupy.
Oh, Grayson!
Oh, your teacher? That's so sweet.
Thanks, Grayson.
And someone I admire are teachers and parents.
Teachers and parents. Yes.
Thanks.
I love that.
Yep, somebody you admire. Who's it? Charlotte? Who's Charlotte? She's somebody special? Oh, Charlotte in another 4th grade class.
Oh, I love
Girl,
that, honey.
She is wonderful. Xavier.
Someone that I admire is my best friend, Steele.
Oh,
Another friend in our classroom. Now he's smiling from ear to ear.
that's so kind. Look at, you're making others feel so happy.
Someone I admire is Xavier.
Ah!
Oh, right back at you, right?
Right back at you. Oh, and that fits with this. Be kind, and kindness will find you back. Right?
Yes. I see one
right
more
there.
hand. I see one more hand, and then I'm going to do a different card.
All right, Callie, come on up.
Somebody that I admire is everybody in this classroom because without them, I wouldn't have any friends or I wouldn't learn.
Oh, Callie.
Oh, that is beautiful. Okay, so there's this card, and then this will be the last question card. And then I'll let you guys ask me a couple of questions in case you have any. And then we'll do a call to action at the end that we can encourage everybody who's watching us to join us, right? So here's the final card. You guys can read it out loud.
Describe a time that you were brave.
Cool.
A time that I was brave was pulling my tooth out.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
Did it hurt?
Yes. It was hard for you.
All three of you.
A time that I was brave is when I saved my mom from a snake.
Wow, that's a brave move. I'm afraid of snakes myself.
A time that I was brave was going in a hot air balloon.
Oh, that's wonderful.
A time that I was brave was when I jumped off a cliff into the lake.
That's pretty brave.
A time I was brave was when I went underwater without plugging my nose.
Oh, yeah, that's really brave.
A time that I was brave was when I broke my arm on the gym floor.
Ooh, did that hurt, honey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Oh.
All right, how about one more? Go ahead,
Reading
Tasha.
in front of people.
Reading in front of people.
Oh, you do such a great job at that.
You know what? So for me, being brave is I have to stand up in front of large crowds now and talk to them about kindness. And I never planned on doing that. So public speaking for me, that's the time that I was brave. So sometimes things that are scary, once we do them, it makes us feel proud, right? After. So does any of you have any questions for me? Because I've asked you a ton of questions today, thanks to the Conversations chat pack. Does any of you have anything you want to ask?
When's the time that you've been brave?
Yeah, so that was when I had to stand up and speak to a lot of people on national television. I was on a show called The Today Show, and I was really scared because I knew that millions of people were watching. But I just took a deep breath and I knew that I could speak from my heart and everything would be okay.
What was one time that you had to accomplish?
That was one task I had to accomplish? Well, this project keeps me really busy. So every morning I don't have to, but I want to. I post a different rock every day to inspire people. So I sit at my table and I paint rocks. I've got all my paint pens and my rocks, and every morning I paint the rocks, and then I take a picture and I put it on social media, because what happens is with having digital citizenship, I might go into the beach and drop one rock there, but if I drop one rock picture on social media, it can affect so many and spread kindness that way. Good question.
Thank you. What is the next step in spreading kindness?
What is the next step? I love that. You know what, honey? All I know is that what I have to do today, and that is if I just keep spreading kindness one rock at a time, and I connect with people like you, that's all that I really have set in my sights. I don't plan too far ahead than what is happening today, because I try and be really present with everybody in the moment. So I really don't know what the next step is. I hope something really big, but great question.
Where are some of the places that rocks have been?
So rock, I love your sweatshirt, by the way. I think I should put that on a rock. Inspire, imagine, innovate. I love that. The rocks have been found now in over 25 countries, as far as India and Pakistan, in Africa, South Africa, so Australia, New Zealand. So these rocks are all over the world.
What are some things that people done? Well, some things that people done for you.
Oh, some kind acts that people have done for me? I have a perfect story to tell you. So because I have an inspiration garden at the beach where I have a sign that says, take a rock if you need it, share a rock, or join us and add one to the pile. And we had a big storm this week and the sand went all over the sign and all of the rocks got buried. And a Boy Scout troop came and dug it up for me. And they replanted that garden, and that was really nice of them. Yeah, great question.
That is nice. Are you working on any other projects?
Yeah, so I'm writing a book right now, which is exciting. And in fact, a book just popped up on Amazon today, which is this Conversations for Kids workbook. So it's kind of a journal for kids with all these questions. I'm trying to just do different things to spread the project to help people. So books are one way to do that.
That's awesome. Cool, Callie?
Yep. What made you think about making kind rocks?
Yeah, so you know what, honey, I didn't even think about it. One day when I was leaving for my walk and I was thinking about the heart-shaped rocks, I was like, I wonder if other people know about heart-shaped rocks. And if not, maybe I could just take a rock and write a kind message on it, and that would be like the heart-shaped rock. So that's where the idea came from.
Awesome, good job. What was your favorite rock that you made, if you can remember it?
My favorite rock. So this is my favorite message to ever put on a rock. I wish I had it in front of me right now, but well, it's actually the tagline of the project too. One message at just the right moment can change someone's entire day, outlook, or life. That's my favorite message to read.
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah. So one message at just the right moment can change someone's entire day, outlook, or life.
What was the most difficult thing you would have to do?
The most difficult thing that I have to do? So the most difficult thing was I did this anonymously for over a year. So nobody knew it was me, not even my family. And what happened was, and maybe some of you will get this, was that I felt really insecure about what I was doing. I felt funny that I was painting messages on rocks, and I thought that maybe people would think that it was weird. And so I didn't tell anybody for over a year. And so one day when I was doing it, a television crew was there and they interviewed me. And so that night, everybody knew what I did, and it made me feel really shy and nervous. I didn't want anybody to know that I was doing it because I didn't want the attention. So that was a really difficult moment for me when people realized who was doing the rocks and that it was me.
Thank you. You want me to? All right. One more question. Last question.
How long have you been doing it for?
That's a great question, honey. I've been doing it for 5 years. Every day for 5 years. I've probably dropped about 10,000 rocks, I'd say. But it's something that I love. And one of my last pieces of advice for you guys is, if there's something that you love doing, do more of that, right? Because if it makes your heart feel happy, then, share that with the world, because you'll inspire other people. And so that's going to leave me with my last call to action here. It says, you guys can read it for me.
What do you do to make others happy?
And so that's the call to action. Whatever it is that makes you happy, share that with the world, because there's no doubt that if it makes you happy, it's going to make other people happy too. So share your gifts, inspire other people, okay?
Okay. What do you say?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You've been such a great classroom. I feel so connected to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
I wanted to jump back in and thank both of you, both the classroom, Mrs. Krupe's classroom, and Megan, thank you so much for joining us. from Cape Cod. This has just been an absolutely incredible second day for our DigCit Summit Classroom Connections, where we have classrooms inspiring and empowering other classrooms. But I wanted both of you to know that if you go to digcitcommit.org and make a commitment towards digital citizenship, there is a student challenge going on right now. And that contest is going to, they're looking for students to create something, and submissions will end. The deadline is December the 1st. And there is going to be a virtual DigCit Commit virtual Congress happening February 11th and 12th. So I want you to mark that on your calendar. February 11th and 12th, and the winners will be announced. And then the best part is those winners are going to be invited to present at ISTE. And the work that you're all doing is something that needs to be highlighted. I just want to encourage everyone to participate in that student challenge. And if you don't know already, DigCit Commit is part of this like coalition that's changing the narrative about digital citizenship. So it's not just about safety. It extends a conversation about how to be inclusive, how to be informed, how to be engaged, how to be balanced, and how to be alert. And it would be so wonderful to have something with this Kindness Rocks project, you know, as a submission. So I just really wanted to encourage that. And share it with everybody, because this is a call to action. You know, this isn't just DigCit Week and we talk about it. Let's put these ideas into action.
Absolutely.
So will you hold up your card, Megan, one more time for that call to action for everybody this week?
Yes, yeah. So here's my call to action.
And I want to now think back to Mrs. Krupe's class. Do you know where your rocks are going to go? Have they been placed yet?
No, we're finishing our rocks up today. They have to put their messages on them. We did the painting last week. And then we're going to talk about where we're going to place them. But there was talk about placing them in the community. But I think we're going to try to involve some of the younger classes too. So it might not happen today, but it'll happen eventually. And we'll get them out. We'll make sure we get some pictures and share them with everyone.
You know what I was thinking too was Megan was talking about writing a book. Mrs. Krupe's class, are you all on Buncee?
Yes.
I was thinking maybe it would be a great way, because Buncee is powering our classroom connections this week. If you did take pictures of this entire journey of your classroom spreading kindness, and you created it as a Buncee book to inspire other students, I just think that would be absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Sounds great.
That would be so wonderful. And you know what I want to do? I have a gift for all of you in this classroom, and it extends outside of just your classroom. But because you guys took your time to be with me today and to share the message of the Kindness Rocks project, I am going to go ahead and reach out to your teacher offline, and I am going to send your school, your entire school, the Kindness Rocks project school presentation package. And that comes with a curriculum for all the teachers, a rock painting kit, some posters for the classroom, and a 36-minute assembly presentation. So that's my gift to all of you for the great work that you're doing, and I hope that you'll enjoy this.
Thank you so much. That's so thoughtful.
Thank you.
This has just been, I just am like I did it in the last session. You know, at the end of the movie for the Grinch, he says that his heart feels 10 sizes bigger than his body. That's exactly how I feel. Being able to, you know, witness this great conversation. Thank you both so much for inspiring classrooms around the world to spread kindness. And I can't wait to actually meet Mrs. Krupe's class next week when I get to visit Lakeshore Central.
We can't wait.
All right. Wonderful. Well, I know that coming up next, he's not on yet, but we've got Brad Wade will be joining us, and the conversation is going to be from the classroom to the boardroom. Digital citizenship is everybody's responsibility, because what we really want to encourage is that this isn't just about something that our students are supposed to do in the classroom. This is what we all need to do, whether that's at home, at work. And it's really this willingness to want to learn alongside, whether it's your own children, your students, or your colleagues. So I will definitely, Megan, take your message about kindness into from the classroom to the boardroom with Brad next. So thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Perfect. Michael, you still on?
I am still on. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm texting with Brad because I know he's going to jump on next. But as we're just waiting, you were on the our panel from the board to the class, from the classroom to the boardroom at ISTE this year. You want to share anything?
Sure. I mean, it was what really stood out to me about that panel was the different backgrounds where everybody was coming from. You know, Eileen from Kuwait, and Jamie Donnelly from Texas, and just like the why, and Steve, who was on earlier, from New Jersey, and just the diverse voices. It was powerful to be a part of, and I wish I could go back and do it all over again. It was just, I left feeling, like you said, yeah, like the end of the movie with the Grinch.
Yeah, and the fact that this isn't something that like has to be a standalone lesson. This is like, I feel like that panel and that discussion from the classroom to the boardroom really is about that you can embed these skill sets into, you know, your everyday routines, into your curriculum, into your assessment. This isn't just like one more thing that has to be done. And that's the part where I feel like we can really get that hook in, so that, you know, especially for our educators or our parents, this isn't about being tech savvy at all. This is just that willingness to be a learner before you are anything else. Learner.
Right, and the skills and the conversations that are happening here, it kind of transcends the classroom, and hopefully it ends up in places like the boardroom or wherever, you know, our students are ending up in their future, and hopefully they're doing something like what Megan said that makes them happy. And following their passions and making a difference, or creating that ripple effect, you know, and that journey looks different for everyone. But I know that at the end of that classroom to boardroom session at ISTE, I remember some teachers reaching out after the fact that were in the audience that wanted to, you know, to learn more, you know, what can I do? So I'm hoping that maybe some people watching the summit online, whether they're watching live or whether they catch the replay, that they get inspired by the students, the SWAT tech team over there in Texas, or the Kind Kids, or Steve's gaming. You know, I know I'm already inspired by Steve's gaming class and wanting to bring some stuff like that to Lakeshore. So,
and you know, to give Lakeshore a big shout out, I mean, your entire school community embraced a community approach to digital citizenship, and instead of like talking at students, learning with students and inviting the entire school community. So that really, I feel like we didn't call it from the classroom to the boardroom, but what your students did last year, that pilot group for that student-led summit, that was like my wish. I actually presented here I'm at iTech right now in Iowa, and my presentation at the very end, like my wish for everyone, I actually presented the video, our recap of our student-led summit, because that's my wish for all school communities everywhere, is that we're all learning together. And that brings that intergenerational approach to digital citizenship.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sitting here. I'm actually at home today with my daughter, and you might be able to hear her in the background, but you know, I just wonder, and my son who's in first grade, you know, how quick we see technology evolving. You know, what is it going to be like for them? You know, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You know, I know when we had the classroom to the boardroom panel, I mean, things came up around ethics, and things came up around immersive technologies, and things come up. I mean, there's just so many kind of important conversations to be had and it really takes everybody to be a part of it, you know.
Who just showed up is Jamie. I'm not really giving her much chance to prep for this, but Jamie was on that board too.
Hey, how's it going, Jamie?
Going good.
We're just in between sessions here at the summit. We just had 3 amazing sessions. I was blown away by all of them. They were fantastic. So we were just talking about the panel at ISTE, from the classroom to the boardroom, and as it transitioning into Brad's session coming up here. So just reflecting a little bit back on
to Michael right now, because I'm just going to make sure that Brad's having a hard time with the link.
Okay.
So perfect.
Yeah. And if you need me to help, let me know.
I've got it. I've got it.
Yeah. So the panel was really interesting. I thought, I agree. It was the diversity of the group. Everybody came from different areas and expertise and levels. And I think that we all kind of had the same messages. You know, we were all talking about some similar concepts, and obviously aligns quite well with what's happening here at the summit. And, you know, I've learned so much from Mary Alice in this process that I was super hesitant about my kids using a lot of technology. There was a lot that I was like, nope, 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 nope. And I still have things locked down. I'm not, you know, it's not full access all the time. But in light of that, the question of like, well, how are they ever going to learn to use this correctly? How are they ever going to have the opportunity to do something great? And it was like, dang it, she's right, you know? And it was just like, okay, I got to take this risk. I got to jump out. And I mean, it's changed how I do technology with my own children. And also I'm this huge advocate of student voice, but yet I was limiting my own children's voice, you know? So it was just, it was a really interesting dynamic and change and how I look at just access in general. But Global Maker Day is coming up at the end of this month. And, you know, again, going back to our students being content creators, I think that's also where we have that responsibility of giving them the opportunity to be makers. If we're not giving them, whether it be digital or not, right, experiences that they might need, then they're not going to be prepared to be those makers. Well, look who stepped in.
Look who just showed up. How are you?
Right above, unmute. There
I'm going to unmute you. There you
we
go.
go.
How are you, Brad?
I'm good. How are you guys? Hi, Jamie.
Hi. And Michael Drezick's on as well.
Drezick, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Brad?
Good.
And we were just talking about our From the Classroom to the Boardroom panel at ISTE, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to jump it back a little bit because it actually happened last year at Webster University. It was our 4th annual DigCit Summit, and our theme was From the Classroom to the Boardroom. And we kind of took a huge risk. So our risk was we had a panel, and on that panel that was, you know, there in St. Louis, you know, live on stage, we had an expert that was from parenting, from emerging technology, from global collaboration, and then from corporate social responsibility. And then what we did was we connected them virtually with virtual panelists. So we had a live audience and we had a live streamed audience. And I remember anytime that you plan something live, I mean, there's always the risk of it just flopping. And now you've got both a live stream audience and a live audience, and what are you going to do? But that conversation, so the panelist that was on stage and the panelist that was on screen got to have this conversation. At that moment, a light bulb went off, and I thought, we can reach more people if we try our 5th annual DigCit Summit online. And so here we are, it's 5 years in, we've put these summits on around the world, and to be able to end our 2nd day right now with you, Brad, to talk about like from the classroom to the boardroom, why is it so important?
Well, awesome. Are we starting early then?
We're starting early. You okay with that?
I'm totally okay with it. I just wanted to make sure that we had an audience and this wasn't back channel discussion. So
no, we're live.
I love it. Well, I am so excited to be here, and thank you not only to you, Mary Alice, and Jamie, but also to the DigCit Institute and everybody around the world. I know we've had just an incredible number of people signing up all over the world, not only adults, but students as well. So thank you to everyone for joining us in this movement that is bigger than any individual, any one of us. It is so much bigger, but we collectively as a group can make a difference. And that's why we're here with all of you this week. So Mary Alice, Jamie, all of you, thank you for doing this. And thank you for letting me join you in this today.
Do you want to let everybody know where you're joining us from?
Sure. I am joining you from Michigan. I am in Detroit, Michigan. I am in my home right now. This is my work office. I always have these guys with me, working with me all the time. And as my kids joke, they say, "Do you like the Avengers and Star Wars?" Because I have artwork all over my house. And I think it's a nice little thing to have. So yes, I'm joining you from Michigan. It is about 42 degrees today. It's not very warm. Fall has arrived and it's beautiful. I live in a place where trees start to turn color and we're getting beautiful oranges and yellows right now.
Fantastic. Well, I know that your session today, and if you want me to go, we can have this as a conversation, or I can certainly go in the background, but we really just wanted to talk about the importance of digital citizenship, especially while we're talking about this new coalition, DigCit Commit, and the Institute happens to be one of the 16 anchor organizations, behind this commitment to digital citizenship and this new perspective, why it's important from the classroom to the boardroom. So I would really love to hear your perspective about it.
Absolutely. I would love for you to stay and just chime in and have some discussion as we go. I'll give just a little bit of background about myself and then what you and I and the Institute have been doing. And then I do have some slides. I have a slide deck that I would love to share. So the classroom to the boardroom, it's an initiative that was brought up by the Institute, Mary Alice's brainchild, and it came from the importance of connecting education to industry and the workforce. And that is something that just really resonated perfectly with me, being a classroom teacher for 15 years and then spending the last 5 years in a blended role between industry and education. Working so closely with you over the last few years, not only here in the US, but internationally as well. The things we have done together in Malaysia, over there in the Asian continent, and the things we've done in Europe as well. So this movement is much bigger than anything that we could do by ourselves. But the big emphasis is getting students ready for the new workforce. And it's really, what better way to do it than combining it and using digital citizenship as the connection point? Because as we know, digital citizenship is not just about social media. 5 years ago, when we met at Twitter, when you had your event at Twitter, it was really focusing on social media because it is important. But we have grown so much more since then and have realized digital citizenship is not just about social media. It's really about the human connection and then our human interaction in all things that are digital. It's everything from government to banking, online finance, commercial, industry, being a consumer, shopping, leaving comments, reporting on things. It is so much bigger. And it's nice to be able to work with the DCI on this global lens with students, not only at the K-12 level, but also at the university level. And that's, kind of where my focus is going to be today, talking about the message, but then talking about how the DCI can help and work with K-12 and universities to bridge that gap. And I'd love to, chat with you a little bit throughout this to talk about, the vision that we have and the things that we've done, not only K-12, like we've done, like especially you've done with Michael and his district, but also what we're doing at the university level. Because we know at K-12, we're working on all of the steps for students to become better digital citizens. And we also know that the importance at the university level, how timely it is. These students will be facing industry and the new workforce very quickly. The impact is coming. And so working hand in hand with the universities and local businesses to work with those students is extremely important. So I look forward to continuing that discussion with you as well.
Okay, that's a great segue about like the workforce, because I don't know if that necessarily is the top priority in some classrooms, like thinking about that workforce. But do you want to talk about, especially because of your area of expertise and reskilling the worker in the workforce? I mean, I just feel like that really gets us, that's the bridge from the classroom to the boardroom.
Absolutely. And that's something that, we work together in Malaysia. I was over there on independent business. That story is a fascinating one. And I don't know if we have time to share it in detail today, but it was wonderful because I was over in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and I remember being in the airport. I was in Amsterdam at the time, and I got an email from you when I landed. And to cut a long story short, you basically said, hey, government Malaysia reached out, wants to see about possibly doing some work together. I don't know, Malaysia's a big country, of course, but if you're anywhere in the area, would you go and represent the Institute in a meeting? And so by the time I landed in Kuala Lumpur, we were able to connect with the Selangor government. And the rest is history. Took a cab ride over there.
I remember we were FaceTiming on that cab ride.
Yeah, it was 11:30, and it was funny because it was a 12-hour time change, and it was nighttime, and I was talking with you and Sean, and I was on my way over and ended up having lunch with them. And then we spent, the next year working with them, setting up curriculum, working with them. And you used the word reskilling. That was a term that I had heard first in Malaysia, and now it's coming domestic as well. And it's a very good word, talking about reskilling. Over in Asia, they have a large population, but a lot of them don't have the skills that's needed for the new workforce. So particularly what the government was doing is offering all kinds of classes for adults to come in and sign up and basically learn new software skills. And then they had asked the Institute help us with getting our population more in tune with being a digital citizen. And so that's what we did, building the curriculum and working with them, over the next year. So,
I thought they were really ahead of their time, because it was, when you look at emerging technologies, it's like constantly going to be evolving and changing. But I felt like that opportunity was, and they had the vision, if reskilling workers in the workplace for the workforce had a firm foundation on digital citizenship, any type of change, anything that was going to come in the future, they would be better prepared because of a foundation built in digital citizenship. And that, to me, when we think about our workforce, if we had that focus beyond students in the classroom, but for our adults, and an intergenerational approach. Jamie and I were just at EdCrunch in Moscow, and I can tell you, we got to visit this university and this innovation center, and it's open. The part that really resonated with me is it's available, these programs, for young children to senior citizens. And that is that opportunity where we get to really connect and collaborate as a community, learning together.
Absolutely. They were very much ahead of their time, and we're starting to really see the connecting pieces here in the US and the importance as well. Your work in digital citizenship in the K-12 over the last 5-7 years is well documented and extremely important. Now understanding that we need to do this, at the university level and at the adult level now is so important. We're seeing the need out there, and it's so nice being able to fill that role and fill that need. And I would love to kind of go ahead and start showing some of my slides that I think would be very fitting. Basically, looking at this new workforce, looking at the need of education and industry to work hand in hand, and how the DCI can help K-12 universities and industries, bridge this gap. And basically, if they can come to the table, we can have the conversation. And that's what it's about, is bringing people to the table to have the conversation. And like the phrase you use so well is, change the narrative about what we're talking about. We are in such a global community now, and it's so important to get everybody to the table and have these conversations. It's just like adults and children when they get together, your voice to your children becomes their inner voice, what they learn, what they know, and what they start to understand and believe. And so you do that at the dinner table typically. And so the more people we can get to the table just to have conversations, because everybody's voice is important. And it's not one person saying this is this and this is that. It's a conversation saying, here are some things that we've seen. Here are some of the data that shows us what is needed. Here's what we've heard from industry saying what is so important in education. And coming from an education perspective, going to industry and saying, this is what we're hearing, this is what we are seeing, you know, to be a better society altogether. These are the things that we need to look at, not only at the student level, but at the school and education level, but as a community and parenting level as well. And industry ties it all in because we spend most of our lives, you know, 18 up, you know, school is wonderful and I love it. And I wish I could be in school all the time, K-12. The reality is, you know, when students get into the workforce, we become part of a bigger global community, and that becomes our family and everybody we work with. So it's so important because we're going to be in that environment for, you know, 50 years, well, for the rest of our lives, because it's not just in the workforce, it's in our communities, at home, where we go, where we shop, where we socialize, where we eat, everything. Being a digital citizen is so important everywhere we go.
And so for in that classroom, from that K to 12, if we have those opportunities to practice it, right? This isn't like a standalone lesson. These are skills that we can embed into all of our everyday activities in and out of the classroom. But like if we get to practice K through 12, we're going to be so much more prepared. You're come that way.
You're absolutely right. And you can use any sports analogy you want. You know, if you want to get better at it, you need to give somebody practice. You know, you don't just expect somebody to become an amazing athlete without practice. And so the thing is a lot of times students and schools just don't even know where to begin. They don't know how they should get started, especially if they're looking at a much larger program. You know, there are a lot of teachers that do wonderful things in their classroom, but, you know, a school system is much bigger than that. You know, it's at the building level, it's at the district level, it's even at the state level. So if there's people out there who are wondering, how do we get started? That's exactly what Mary Alice is talking about. At the Institute, they have a wide range of programs that can assist, you know, everything from a teacher to a building to a district and even at a state and government level.
You know, and this is where you go back to like personalized learning, because you need to meet people where they're at and help move them forward. And this really isn't about the technology. I mean, that just happens to be the tool, but this is about making those connections like back to humanity, you know, with the focus on human connections, both on and offline.
That's exactly right. And you'll see, I think I'm going to go ahead and if it's okay, I'm going to jump in and screen share. And it's funny because you said, you know, digital citizenship and the human connection, because as you'll notice, that's where I start and that's where I end at the very end. So let me see if I can I want to pull up where is mine? There it is. Okay, it's right there at the bottom. I just want to make sure I have quick access to what I'm looking for. All right, I'm going to start my screen share. Okay, my desktop. All right, can you see that?
I can see it.
All right, how was that?
Perfect. Okay,
and I can see you, which is great. So we can still have this conversation. All right, so this is me. This is, so yes. I was a classroom teacher for 15 years, and then I got asked to do a higher calling. I will call myself an evangelist. I have been coined that by someone else. My superintendent called me that, and I embraced it. My job in this world right now is to be an evangelist, to go out and share and speak and help people. My classroom just became, you know, more global, and part of that is working with you to share this message, and I love it. So here we go. All right, so how emerging technology will alter the institutions of citizenship and impact the new workforce. So that's what this is my area of expertise, because if you've noticed, which I know everybody has, we live in a time where technology is changing so fast. It's almost hard to keep up, but it's really not about the technology, but that's what I'm going to share. Here's my contact information. You can find me at Tech Brad Wade, basically anywhere. You can, follow me on any social media that you wish. Please feel free to send me an email, like my professional Facebook page, but you can connect with me on my personal Facebook page as well. And you can find information at bradwade.com. All right, so I just wanted to put this in here as you are going along. If there's anything that you want to share your social media, share the message, and let's definitely get connected. This is my Twitter profile. That is mostly where I do most of my education stuff. Like I said, I am other places as well. But if you are on Twitter, please, let's get connected right now and say hi, and let's continue this conversation as we go. All right, so being a citizen, it's really what we do in life. It's what we're about. 99.999% of us don't live by ourselves in the woods at Walden Pond. We are part of a much bigger network. We are in communities. We are in our work. We are in other systems. We are in education systems. We are in work systems. We're in industry systems. We are in social systems. And in every system, we are a citizen. And that's what it's all about, from everything from kids up until adulthood. All right, so here are some things that being a citizen is really about. Is, we contribute to society. We teach tolerance, respect the rights of others. We have moral courage and a sense of responsibility. These are things that all tie us together under citizenship, being a citizen. And the thing is digital citizenship is all about the human connections, and we use the word online. But the thing is when we learn and go about this online, it transcends being online. It transcends to face-to-face. It's actually a full circle. We started off saying, well, we're good humans to each other face-to-face, but when we get online, we may not act the way we always did. But now we're finding that the more we even look at becoming better citizens on the digital end, it's actually helping improve being citizens more even on the face-to-face side. It's a nice movement that's helping us all as we go along. All right, so here's just a few things that I just want to talk about. 5 technologies that will impact students in the next 5 years. And there's a story coming here about how it all ties together. So one is augmented reality. And I'm going to go kind of quick because, Mary Alice, I want to make sure that I have time to chat with you again as well. And there are going to be some talking points in here that you'll see naturally that I want to get your feedback on. I know you have muted yourself for the moment, but you'll see when these talking points come up. So augmented reality, which is known as AR, virtual reality, which is VR. These are some of the companies that are doing things like Kinful is doing some great stuff with social emotional learning with VR. Mixed reality. It's funny because we call it mixed reality in industry. A lot of times you'll hear it as extended reality or XR. This is things, you see a person working on an engine here, they're wearing glasses and digital content is coming out and they are manipulating it using different tools. Machine learning, I could go on, for hours about that. Machine learning and artificial intelligence, they are impacting our lives more than most people know right now, and it's only going to become more and more prevalent. There's a lot of power there, and so we need to figure out how are we managing that as in the digital world. So here's a statistic from the World Economic Forum. An estimated 65% of students entering school today will be doing jobs that don't currently exist. That's why, we are taking a hard look at education, and there's been a nice shift over the last 5 years about what are we teaching and why. The why is really coming out, which is incredible. And that's where digital citizenship comes along as well. Now, here's where I tie all this together, because we're talking about the new workforce and understanding everything. So here are 5 technologies that will impact industry in the next 5 years. Augmented and mixed reality. Interesting. We just saw that that's something that's already changing education. Now, the Internet of Things. Now, the thing is we're not discussing that in education, but as soon as the students go home, they're already exploring the Internet of Things. Internet of Things is devices being tied together. Anything with a sensor that's connected to the internet. That's becoming more and more and more. And you can see from this graphic, it's when they're online shopping, when they're shopping in stores. This is everything from drones to robots to smart devices, a smart home, smart electricity, and different things like that. All right, big data. This is probably a word that a lot of people have heard, but maybe don't understand. But if you just go and think about, let's just think about the last slide, the Internet of Things, everything that has a sensor in it, that's a connected device, everything from the phone to a tablet to all of the smart devices I just mentioned, all of those have sensors, and every sensor is taking in data. Now the thing is what do we do with that data? Well, so the phrase for all of that data is called big data. And you might hear people say mining big data. Well, the thing about big data is that's how we're getting information. Facebook shares information, and this is where we get into the digital citizenship. There's all kinds of things that Facebook shares your habits, your routines. Some people don't even know that. There are spots on Facebook that says don't share parts of my data. And here's an example. If you've ever been on Facebook and all of a sudden you get an ad for something that totally makes sense, you're like, wow, I was just looking at that. Yeah, that's part of the big data. That's them using your data saying, oh, they like going camping. Here, let's put on a sale for camping equipment. Or something like that. I'm sure most of you have seen that. That is a device that's looking at your data and then personalizing it back to you. So that's part that's going on in industry. It's been going on for a while, and it's getting more and more common. Machine learning and artificial intelligence, all of that. So you see, there's a lot of overlap in education and industry. So the question is are we preparing students for their future or our future? And really just that we're having the discussion and we're all coming to the table about what does this mean, and tying it all together is the digital citizenship aspect of it. So here's a question: why is teaching kids how to program robots, code, computer science, and STEM important? These are all skills. And again, I am just taking this technology approach just to weave the story, create this narrative, and then tie it all together. One of the questions is why is this important? Well, I think Todd Whitaker has a very good example, and here it is. He said, because you don't want to be on a plane where the pilot learned how to fly using worksheets. And I think a lot of you are probably chuckling right there, but it's true. We are starting to really look at education as like we're using the why to guide our learning and discussion, which is great. I often get asked about that. What have you seen? What are the trends? And I can really say, and I'm very happy about it, that seen a really big shift over the last years in education, asking the why. Seen so many great leaders and teachers asking the question and changing the narrative to why are we doing this? What is our why? And it gets back to, preparing students, for this world. And like I said, digital citizenship ties it all together. So here's just a fun little thing I like to do, and some of you have seen this before, is, did the movies get it right? And I want you to see this. So I'm gonna put up a slide, and I want you to think about what movie it is. All right, anybody know what that movie is? I know it's, yes, you right there. I see you raise your hand. Oh, I heard somebody yell it out. Yes, it's Minority Report, and we'll get back to that in just a minute. So that's Minority Report. All right, what about this one? Yes, correct. The Matrix. There's Neo and Trinity. What does that mean? Okay, what about this one? Anybody know this one? Isaac Asimov movie. It was a book. Yes, iRobot. Good job. Yes, iRobot. And I can hear you laughing over there.
Okay, I am laughing.
I knew it. I couldn't.
We're kind of on this end, like, joining along, but we like the commentary. Keep going.
Good. All right. Yes. So this is iRobot. I couldn't hear you because I knew you were muted, but I knew you were going along with me and laughing. I love it. So this is iRobot. And then, all right. What about this one? Anybody know this one? Yes, of course. Iron Man, Avengers, all of them. All right. So here we go. What about this one? Yeah, Star Wars. Anybody know which one? Yes, some of you my age are saying that's Star Wars. You're right. That's what we always called it because we didn't know there's going to be 47 more movies. So this one is officially number 4.
That's funny. 47 more.
Yeah, this is officially number 4, but this is the original Star Wars, and I put it on here because of the hologram. Now, the thing is if you look at all of these movies, I think the Minority Report was 20 years ago now. I think it was 1999, and then bringing it all the way up. Well, Star Wars was 1977. But the thing is all these technologies exist now. And the question is, how do we manage them in our lives? How do we manage them? How do they weave into our story? How do we interact with them? What are the things we need to be thinking about? We live in such an incredible time right now with the law of acceleration in everything that we're doing in technology. And the world is getting so fast. Along with getting fast, it's also shrinking. We talked about working all over the world. It's absolutely incredible that somebody could jump on a plane today and be halfway around the world, in a day. But they can also just connect online. We're connecting with people all over the world right now, instantaneous. So as the world speeds up, it also gets smaller. I have so many friends all over the world now because of technology, as do everybody that's here today, and it's wonderful. So we have to be even more mindful, not only of our surrounding, our environment, but also how we treat each other. And it's great to give students that practice in school. All right, so what is the new workforce? So let's take a look at that. There's something called Industry 4.0, which is really the next industrial revolution. And I've been asked many times to speak on this, to share what this means so we can have insight. So the Industry 4.0, the first one was 1.0. They didn't call it 1.0. We really didn't call anything until 4.0. 1.0 is really the industrial revolution, mechanization, all that. The second one you can think about is in the early 1900s, basically the assembly line. If you think about what Henry Ford did, and then using the assembly line to make it more efficient. The third one, it says computer and automation. It was really talking about bringing the computers into the workforce in the 70s and 80s, bringing, the language into and connecting things. 4.0 is now all of these systems talking together, and we are really only in its infancy. So I bring that up because, I've been asked to bridge the gap between education and industry. And there's a lot of buzzwords in industry that we may not be as familiar with in education. Industry 4.0, big data, IoT, Internet of Things, to name a few. So Industry 4.0 is a time we are in manufacturing, in everything that we're doing that affects not only industry and manufacturing, but the consumer. So every one of us are affected by this, because if we are not directly in that workforce, we are a consumer in society. And I have some slides that show what's been built and how it impacts us. Okay. All right. I think I'm stuck. Oh no. Are you there? Mary Alice, can you jump in? Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. My slide's not advancing.
Okay.
All right, let me see. Let me see if there's anything I can do on my end. I'm gonna stop share for a second.
Okay.
Oh, got it. Okay, well, that's interesting. Are you still there?
I am.
Okay, I need to find you. I don't see you.
Oh.
Do you still see me?
I see you.
Oh, I see you. Okay, now I can go. I'm gonna go back and share again. Let me find my, oh, I know why. It's because it had some animations. Okay. All right. Let's go back and share again. Desktop and bring this. Okay. So here's some more things about Industry 4.0. I'm going to put this back up. Okay. These are just some things. I'm not going to spend time on it. If you'd like to chat with me more about Industry 4.0 or would like me to come work with you, especially the Institute, and we're going to say that all at the end about if you're ready, when you're ready to work with the Institute, whether you're at the K-12 level or at the university level or even in industry, please connect with myself or Mary Alice, send us an email. Okay, so where did it all come from? Okay, so let's take a look. So things like, anybody remember this? Mary Alice, do you remember what this is?
It's like, yeah, you made things. What was it called? Like it lit up. Hold on, Jamie's coming.
Light bright.
Yeah, light bright. There we go. Light bright. Sounds
Yep.
like, looks like light bright.
Exactly. So light bright. So that was from our childhood. So things is light bright turned into Bloxels. Okay. So it's a very similar thing. That was just, I'm just showing how things transition. So light bright means 21st century programming. All right. Come on. Come on. Oh, I have some animation. I guess it's taking a minute. All right. Oh, goodness. Advance. Can I advance? Come on. Okay, this is what I'll do. I'll do this. All right, so here's another one, Qbert. Qbert, I'm gonna do it like this for a minute because I have a lot of transitions. So Qbert turned into Lightbot, which is coding and programming. So this is from 1982, and this is a video game where well, people like me had to change the color of the block. Well, that turned into code.org created this program called Lightbot, where now students are asked to learn how to change the top of the block to a different light, and you have to learn how to code. Now, what did it create? Well, all this created things like Pokemon Go. I'm gonna see if I can go back into the slides. Pokemon Go, Minecraft, Fortnite, League of Legends, TikTok. All of these were things. Oh yeah, I'm gonna move on from that because it's a video. All of these things were created at some point. And the thing is it all started with students in school and their creative minds, and then going along as they went. Now, the question is why is it important? Well, it's important because by next year, 50% of the workforce is going to be millennials. And, you know, some of us are baby boomers and Generation X, but millennials are going to comprise a majority of the workforce, you know, predicted as early as next year. And so that's why we need to really have these conversations, not only at K-12, but at the university level. So the question is, how will I impact the world and in what industries? So we're starting to look now, okay, let's get back to student-centered, whether they're at K-12 or university, how will they impact the world and in what industries? What things is they'll do it in all of these industries, okay? And we'll take a look at these because we are helping to create productive members of society, you know, when we do that through education and learning. And when we are in the classroom, it's all about learning and getting that opportunity to practice. Okay, so we do it in automotive. That's where we're gonna have a huge impact. In automotive, medical and healthcare, in construction, power and utilities, aerospace and aviation, engineering, heavy equipment, transportation, logistics, oil, gas, and mining, and that's just to name a few. So basically, it's everywhere. Now, the thing is who gets to build this world? Mary Alice, so if I was gonna ask you, who gets to build this world?
We do.
We do, okay? We do. The students get to do it. And what ties it all together? Well, digital citizenship does. And so really it's from the classroom to the boardroom, and the Institute is helping students navigate the new workforce. You know, whether we can work at K-12 or we get to work at the university level. Those are two very different programs that I know that you offer and I've been a part of with you. At the K-12 level, that's everything, you know, from grade level to building to district wide, you know, multiple touch points, curriculum, getting feedback from staff, you know, doing a pre-test and a post-test, you know, seeing how well the work has been assimilated and people have gravitated towards it. Everything from going in and teaching and working with students, teachers, and I love your parent and community piece. And then, you know, I know your showcase at the end where it's really a nice, you know, as we call it from a teaching standpoint, a nice culmination piece, you know, at the very end to show the efforts and everything that you've done. And that's at the K-12 level. And then at the university level, you know, going in and providing that, you know, free event. If you're not familiar with what the Institute does at the university level, I'll basically spell it out here. The Institute provides a free event at the university, partners with the university to bring students to a day of digital citizenship, and then invites local companies and industry in to bridge that gap. So in the audience is mainly students, and we share the message about what does it mean? What is it all about? And then students have the opportunity to go and mingle with companies in industries and have, continue that narrative. And so that is the other half. So there's K-12, but there's also the university level. If you have any questions or want to be a part of this and are ready to get information, please contact either myself or Mary Alice or the Institute. I know they would love to work with you through that journey. And so, that's where I'm going to end. And I want to continue a discussion with you, Mary Alice, but I've been using this for years, and I truly believe this. Together we can change the world just by changing our minds. And, I really believe that this is so much bigger than one person, but every one person has the power to change the narrative. And so I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to join you in our discussion.
Okay, I'm back on.
All right. So
and this is a fabulous way to end our second day, because the story, like our history, started on a college campus. So, my teaching career started in a middle school. I was a middle school teacher, I was a middle school principal, but I ultimately was a faculty member in a school of education at the University of St. Joseph, teaching both undergraduate and graduate students. I was a faculty member on record for the EdTech program. And, I've told this story many times. I've never said I was tech savvy. I've never pretended to be that. But in the early 2000s, for our teacher preparation program, school communities were all going one-to-one. Everybody was trying to keep up with the Joneses. So one school community was like, oh, we're giving devices. We've gone one-to-one. And the next community was like, oh, you're giving devices. We're going to give devices at kindergarten. And then no one had a plan. And so they kept calling the university. And that's when, I wanted to carve out time and space, because we were putting the cart before the horse. We really needed to lead with digital citizenship. So when I think about our journey, it did start on a college campus, and it started really in earnest prior to fall 2011. But by the fall of 2011, I taught a first-year seminar course called Pleased to Tweet You. Are you a socially responsible digital citizen? And so I want to give a shout out to Tracy Mercier, because at the time, before 2011, she was one of my graduate students. She used to invite me to come into her course. At the time, she was teaching 3rd grade. And really, my connected learning journey started because of Tracy. And I was inspired and encouraged to be like, how am I going to meet these kids' needs? By the time they get to the 4th grade, the 5th grade, middle school, high school, my college classroom. And that's when I had I found the courage to create that course, and that course really set everything into motion. And so there's a shout out to Beth Sanders, because when I blogged about it, and I thought this is going to be a great course, first-year seminar course for incoming freshmen, no matter what their major is, but wouldn't it be great if they had an authentic audience? So when I blogged and I said, does anybody want to join us? Beth Sanders juniors, high school juniors from Birmingham, Alabama, and we were in West Hartford, Connecticut, they had to use all these different social media and technology platforms to connect and collaborate. And my definition for digital citizenship is a direct result from the fall of 2011, that we need to look at, how do you prepare, whether it's going to be students or workers in the workplace for the 21st century. We need to think and act. And the emphasis was on act, locally, globally, and digitally. And so that lens, not looking at it like individually, like local, global, and digital, but together. And that has transformed me professionally, personally. And it's really for the foundation into, now we're here at the 5th DigCit Summit, hosting it online, and you and I are having an opportunity to talk why this is important from the classroom to the boardroom. So when you just mentioned that one of our focuses is really going in working with universities, it doesn't matter what your major is.
No, not at all.
I mean, this affects everybody.
That's the beautiful part of it. And that's why it's been so successful. is because the university just encourages all students to come because it's just like, you know, in education, like at K-12, we're like, oh, this is cross-curricular. This is great. You know, if we find something that we can teach to everybody, we know how important that is and how wonderful it is. Well, this is the same thing. It's cross-curricular because it's not about your major. It's not about your minor. It's about being a human. And that's the best part. That's the best part.
It's about being a human. And it's this opportunity where instead of talking at students, that like, this is an actionable experience. Like, how do we provide, how do we invite people to experience this? And take these words and these ideas, and even what's happening here during DigCit week, you know, this is great. I'm inspired, but you know, you go to a conference and you can be inspired. But if that action, you don't have the bridge to make it into a verb, digital citizenship into a verb. And that's why, whether it's going to be K-12 classrooms, our college, universities, industry, this needs to be what all of us are actively doing every single day.
And that's my action, my call to action for everybody is what are you doing, or what do you want to do? Because I don't want to say what are you doing, it's what do you want to do? Do you want to bring something to your classroom? Do you want to bring something to your school? Do you want to bring something to your university? Do you want to bring something to your workplace? What do you want to do? What change would you like to see in your environment? And Mary Alice, I just want to thank you for all your work that you've done. Work that I've been able to do with you over the last 2 years, but all your work over the last 8 years. If it wasn't for that epiphany you had when you were
it's because of Tracy Mercier for getting me connected. I mean, this didn't happen in a vacuum. There are so many countless people, numerous people along the way. But the beautiful part is, as this has evolved, people have, you know, like, let's talk about Tola for a second, okay? Tola saw what was happening and said, even though I'm only one person, I want to make a difference. I want to change this narrative in Nigeria. And so people have self-selected to want to be part of something that's larger than all of us. So this isn't about anybody individually. This is like collective. And when if Tracy were on this call, she'd be like, it's nothing to do with me. Like, she'd be like, she really wouldn't like the spotlight back on Tracy. So I'll put it on our 3rd grade students. Okay.
There you go.
I'm going to put the focus back on her students and say, that is where, you know, at the time, there were a lot of teen suicides due to cyberbullying. That's where digital citizenship was in the beginning. It was very reactive. That's where my journey began, a very reactive. How do we come up with a solution towards, you know, cyberbullying? And it's evolved, but it's because of students. Like, that's, I mean, if we're going to I was going to give any kudos back to anybody, it's always going to be back to students.
Yeah. And the nice thing is and you used a very triggering word, you know, when all of this started, it was very reactive. And I know you have worked so hard to change the narrative and help it grow. And we have grown as a society from the reactive part to now it's, you know, a conversation that we're having. We're inviting people to the table. We're breaking bread together, to use that analogy. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background or anything. You're welcome to come to the table and we can all learn together about this. And that's the beautiful thing of this, you know, regardless of where you are or what you're doing, you know, this is a conversation that needs to be had and everybody's welcome.
But it doesn't matter what language you speak or where you live or what customs or traditions. I mean, when you come down to it, we are one world, one human race. And Absolutely. This is on all of us.
Absolutely. I've seen you in Africa all dressed up. You've seen me in an elevator in Kuala Lumpur, and we find our people everywhere.
That really is the truth. And I feel like going back to that for Tola, and that he brought the DigCit Summit to Nigeria, and now Tola has, you know, well, I think he's always had, but now it's like that actionable piece, this vision that not just to help his community back in Nigeria, but to help all of to invite all of Africa to be part of this conversation, where then that is a bridge to connecting dots to those actionable pieces. And that's just powerful, that one person just has this passion and stands up and says, you know, it matters. And then that one person becomes many.
Absolutely. And, you know, we were just invited to go to India and do the same thing, and timing was just too short, but we're making preparations, and it's, you know, we'll do everything we can. One second. My apologies. I have to let my son in. You know, but we're doing all we can, not only, you know, on the US side, but globally as well. So we don't care where you are. If you have a vision, we are here to help you. We love doing as much work in the US as we can because these are our roots and this is where we live. But if you are somewhere in a country outside of the US and you are working on this movement and want assistance, go to DCI, check out the resources, contact myself and Mary Alice, and we're happy to help.
We want to facilitate. I mean, instead of that whole, you know, as a classroom teacher, it was like, you know, you don't want to just go fishing for your students. You want your students to learn how to fish. And this is really, when you go back to that personalized learning, personalized professional development, it's for an entire community.
Absolutely.
And to learn how to fish, and we get to facilitate these amazing conversations and you know, change the narrative.
Absolutely. And I guess I'm glad you said that, because yes, if you're at the K-12, it's professional development. That's what we're talking about, having that conversation, but under professional development. So I'm just thrilled to be a part of this, and thank you for asking me to join you today and be a part of this week and this movement. I'm so thankful to you and Jamie and Michael and everybody, all the speakers before me, all the speakers after me. I've seen the lineup, a lot of incredible people, and then a lot of people that we don't even know that are doing good things, and we appreciate that.
So if people end up using the hashtag DigCit Summit to join, I mean, all week long, we're going to be connecting classrooms to inspire and empower other classrooms. We're sharing our DigCit Impact Talks daily. And then we've partnered with EduMatch, and EduMatch is hosting tweet and talk panels. And tonight, the topic, the focus, you know, Sarah Thomas, the focus is going to be, right. And she was part of our, from the classroom to the boardroom, both at Webster University and at ISTE, because we did this session at ISTE as well. But she's hosting, the focus tonight is digital citizenship with the focus on community. And I feel like that's from the classroom to the boardroom right there.
Yeah, she is one of the most humble people you'll ever meet. She has such a great impact, yet she is just so steadfast in what she's doing, and just couldn't meet a nicer person doing such meaningful work. So if you have not seen her or heard her talk, please jump on and see what she's doing.
And join the EduMatch community, because that continues. You know, if people are saying, where do you start? You want to start making connections and building relationships. And that's in the classroom, that's out of the classroom, that's in the boardroom, it's everywhere. It's about relationships. And before we end, can I just tell the story about how we really connected at Twitter headquarters? Because it ties back to, I've been talking about all day, yesterday as well, continue to talk about it, the DigCit commit, you know, new narrative about being inclusive. And I would just like, I'd like to tell the story publicly again, that when we were at Twitter headquarters for the second annual, we had that after party, and I was just kind of going around thanking people, engaging with people. Your back was to a wall, and there was a table in front of you. And actually, I don't know if you can see, but I've got like a wall here. You were like blocked in. And I must have said something about, you know, being a talker and being set up on a blind date with a deaf man. And you just like became 100% present. You're always present when you speak with people, but you were like light bulb moment. And you said, is your husband here? He's deaf, your husband's here. You literally jumped over a table. It wasn't like you could like scoot around. You literally jumped a table to have the opportunity to sign with my husband. And that's when I thought, boy, this is somebody like, that's just extraordinary. So I know that in your own teaching career, you've had the opportunity to work with a deaf community. And so I feel like that's a really important way to end, is about that this conversation, we need to be really mindful about inviting everyone, like that idea of accessibility and inclusion. And that really was the beginning of the two of us working together. And I'm just really, to this day, very grateful for that. I'll never, and as a mother, my son was there, And he doesn't always see people react that way. Some people don't know what to do with someone that's deaf or hard of hearing. And so, you know, we've all kind of been taught not to ever like stare or make somebody feel, you know, badly. And so for you jumping that table and my son to see someone that excited to engage in conversation, it means the world to me.
Well, thank you. You know, people might find this as a shock, but I'm not very social. I'm very shy. I do get on stage and I deliver keynotes in front of thousands and I love it. And that is my wheelhouse. But as soon as I'm off stage, I am very quiet and shy. And I was just sitting there and I was thankful that you came over. But when I heard your husband was deaf, I had not signed in probably a year and a half. And I was sad and I hadn't used it. And so when I got a chance to sign with him and talk with him, it was so good for me too. I was so happy to meet him. And I know there is a picture out there on Twitter, and I know you and I have found it in the last year. I think when we were in Colorado together, we found it. Somebody captured that moment and said, look at the bromance between these two. And I just remember it was great. And, you know, Sean and I continue to be good friends. I mean, I've hung out with Sean when you went home, you know.
Right. And then we all got to go to DigCit Summit Ireland, which ties back to John. I would love to give a shout out to Joanne Sweeney, because what she did for corporate social responsibility for the summit and at Webster University, but also at the DigCit Summit Ireland. We were all there. And anyways, it brings back to the importance of humanity and that it's about relationships. And I can't think of a better way to end our second day.
Well, thank you for you and your family and your time and everything.
And you know, Michael Drezick, thank you. Michael Drezick's been on all of our classroom connections. I don't know, Michael, if you can jump in and say a quick reflection for the entire day, but I have such a happy heart.
Yeah, this was a wonderful day. I think Brad just delivered an amazing session here. So I think I had to miss all of day one. But if day two is anything like day one, this has been an amazing summit so far, and I can't wait to continue to follow along with what's coming up on through the rest of the week. Excited for the Spanish language track tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow, all of our connections tomorrow are in Spanish, which is incredible.
It is.
And Michael, you've got classrooms joining in Thursday and Friday as well from Lakeshore. I mean, I know that Mrs. Krupe's class joined today, but you'll have Lakeshore will be very present all week long.
We will be on.
I think I see. That's awesome.
I just took a picture.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, thank you both so much. Again, continue the conversation using the hashtag DigCit Summit. And we look forward to continuing to learn with you, not just during DigCit Week, but virtually, in person. And I'm feeling very grateful. So thank you both.
Well, thank you, Marius. Thank you, Michael. It's good seeing you. I hope to see you again soon. And thanks for all the work both of you are doing so much. I really appreciate it. I'm honored to be working with you both.
Perfect. I'll end the call for now.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.